one. Fight!
And the Oscar goes to...
And the Oscar goes to... Leonardo DiCaprio.
I loved that. So I obviously didn't know anything about this intro to begin with, man, but that was solid how you included DiCaprio in there. That was fun.
Yes, I had to add a little bit about Leo at the end there, but welcome, guys. Welcome to Tearmaker Fights. We're going to be talking best and worst Leo DiCaprio movies today, so it should be a fun one. And we got one more joining us here.
Hey, so there I am. Sorry.
Hey, we haven't quite gone around the horn yet, so that's all right. You guys are just in time for the introduction, Darren. So
there's Aaron.
But we'll start with Paul. How you doing?
Greetings. I mean, there's been a lot to talk about just in that montage, let alone Leo DiCaprio movies. I mean, the Winter Soldier finale, you know, I saw a pic of him in there. I'm like, I want to talk about that for 2 hours. So amazing. In a show that actually kind of dipped for me and then kind of came back strong and had this killer finale. I was just like, that show was great.
Killer, yeah. It's so good. Yeah.
But anyway, and the Oscars are tonight, so there's DiCaprio, and that was a long time coming Oscar. Guys, so good all the time. I'm excited to get it, to mix it up.
Yeah, same. And then Steven, how you doing? Your first timer, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's funny, this is supposed to be best and worst, but not much to talk about.
Right. I know. Yeah, there's not really like if you're gonna say worst, you're really talking about like a mid-level movie, like honestly. So, but Aaron, how you doing?
Good. Yeah, good. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. I love the Oscars. This is one of the first time in a number of years where I actually have been able to see a majority of the films because of everything that's happened. So that's a little disappointing on my own end. But Leo is certainly someone, whenever he has something come out, he's in discussion. So he's a fun one to talk about around this time.
And I gotta say, don't take all that blame on yourself. Hollywood has they have a virus, and it's called backloading, and they dump so many award movies on you, like right before the voter deadline for awards, that two things happen. One, little films get lost in the shuffle to bigger marketing campaigns. That if they came out earlier in the year, they'd have maybe their own weekend to shine, and we could all check them out. And secondly, as a viewer, you've got like 40 movies to see in a month. And then the nominations come out, you don't know what half the movies are. I mean, I think it's a big problem. So I wouldn't be surprised, even in a pandemic and a lockdown, if many people haven't heard of half the movies they're going to talk about tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Probably not.
It's not right. It's a shame.
Then we got Austin Pez. How you doing, Austin?
40 movies in a month. It sounds like the research I do for some of these Tearmaker Fight shows. Because I did about 25. I did about 25 for that Spielberg episode. Didn't quite do that many for this one, but I did have a first time watches, 5 or 6 of those, and then I got to rewatch 4 or 5 that I really wanted to rewatch, and I didn't get around to Romeo and Juliet. Sorry, Leo.
Yeah, well, I want to say though, you're the one that actually came up with the idea to do Leo movies. This is kind of Austin's idea, so I want to make sure we got him on for sure. So yeah.
Yeah, I originally wasn't going to be able to on there, and somebody called out of work, and they switched my schedule. So I've been up since 5:45 this morning, ready to roll. Let's do this.
Right on. And then we have my co-host, Chris Scott, Casablanca Kid, which I'm actually gonna, since you're the co-host, I'm gonna do a little shuffling around here. Sorry.
Where'd he go?
We'll still keep you up there, Paul. Though we'll go like
Paul.
that.
How are you
He's
doing
all over
there?
the place. Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, right up there.
Right there you go.
High five.
Yep.
Hey, Paul. High
So how
five.
you doing? Yeah.
Sorry.
There you go.
Do the old reach across.
Good, man.
Do the old reach
My hand
across
just
and choke me
disappeared.
thing. Do the old reach
Yeah,
across and choke
Start
me. That's
choking.
fun.
Hey, now
I was trying to give Aaron one, but it's like the wrong hand. Here you go.
Yeah, right.
No matter how many
Your
of these,
other
I never
one?
get
Yeah,
used to
no,
that.
I'm like, which one? Yeah. Who knows?
We'll get this
Oh.
figured out
Opposite.
right when the world opens up again and we don't do this anymore.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah,
doing
that's
good,
right.
guys. I'm excited to talk about Leonardo DiCaprio movies. Yeah, and he's done a ton of good films. There's a few of them on there I feel like that I'm probably gonna move down a little bit. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's one or two I hadn't even heard of before that, so it kind of opened my eyes to a couple new movies. So that was cool. So yeah, but we'll just get into it. I'm gonna share my screen here. Give me one quick second, and I'll bring up our tier ranker list here, our chart. There you go.
Right.
So I'll kind of scroll through so you can actually see what we're going to be working with here. But basically, just all the films in Leo's filmography. If you have any questions about what the movies are, let me know. But I mean, not as much as we usually have. We usually have like 50 to 100 things to choose from here. We only got 27 for Leo, so that's a little more manageable amount, I feel like. So
Absolutely.
And the tier ranker only goes S through D, since we've got less categories. If there's anyone that the group hasn't seen, we'll throw it in the haven't seen. And then S tier, we're only going to allow 10 in the S tier, because by the end of it, we want to have a solid S tier, or we want to have a solid top 10 in the S tier. And then as far as the other tiers go, we're not really going to rank them per se. We're just kind of going to throw them in the tier, but we will rank the S tier at the end. So that's kind of how it's going to go. And we got a little rules that I'm going to throw up just to kind of help things have a little order to it. So I'll just throw those up there real quick. Let me expand my screen so I can read this thing, and also get rid of the little logo in the side corner there. All right, so let's have a good, clean fight. Please do not talk or shout over each other. Please do be respectful of others' opinions. Each person will take turns to select a movie for ranking. The person who selects the movie will have 1 minute. We used to give them 2, but I changed it to 1. I felt that made it a little more concise, but to explain which tier they think it should go in and why. All the participants will then have 1 minute to say whether they agree or disagree and may suggest a new ranking. The host will decide on a ranking that averages out everyone's opinions and ask if the proposed ranking is acceptable. And at that point, we can have a little bit of a debate too. So yeah, we'll get into it. Let's see. All right. So as the host, I usually like to go last. So we will throw it. Hang on. I'm just getting the display correct on my screen. I got to do it in split screen. Eventually, I want to get the dual monitor set up, but I'm going to make it work for now. So we're going to start with the one at the bottom. So we're going to start with Aaron first. So you want to pick one that you want to rank and talk about?
Sure. Since we're doing this in honor of the Oscars, I feel like the best way to start is to talk about the one he did end up winning the Oscar for, which is The Revenant. Though a lot of people could probably argue he should have. Though you could probably argue he should have won it for one of the other movies beforehand. This is still, I think, one of his best performances, and it is up there. This is a movie that is essentially reliant on Leo and Hardy's performances and Iñárritu's ability to shoot nature and make it look as good as it could with all these restrictions he put on himself for the making of it, like the natural lighting and the different things they would do to try and make it look a specific way. And while the rest of the film may not be as because it's not that it's not good. It may not be as emphasized as with other films where it's a more complete package. Those three things in specific, his filmmaking and Leo and Hardy's performances, shoot this, for me at least, to one of his best films because they bring it A+ on every level.
Oh yeah. So what do you think, Austin, for The Revenant?
Yeah, this is one of the ones that I was so glad I got a chance to rewatch 2 or 3 days ago because I hadn't seen it since the theater, but I remembered liking it. And boy, does this movie hold up. It holds up great. It's a phenomenal survival movie with just excellent performances all around. The cinematography is just some of the most gorgeous that's been done probably in the 21st century, to be honest. And it looks amazing with the natural lighting. Leo gives a fearless performance. He is awesome in the movie. Like, he's so great. I also think Tom Hardy should have won for supporting actor too. He's amazing in the movie as well.
Right.
He absolutely deserves it, and he's the man. So yeah, Revenant S tier. I fully agree.
All right. And Steven, what do you think of The Revenant?
Well, the cinematography was, for me, the best thing about the movie. It's a great looking film for sure, exceptionally well made. DiCaprio is great in it, but I didn't find it be as immersive as I would have liked for whatever reason. I wasn't as engaged as some of his other movies, so it's not one of my favorite movies of his. But really well made, beautifully looking.
Yeah, definitely. Paul, what do you think about The Revenant?
I share a little bit of that sentiment. For some reason, as emotional as you clearly see DiCaprio act in this movie, I was never as emotionally, grabbed as I was with other of his films. I'm more impressed by the technical achievement of the movie than by my emotional involvement in it. But that's being said, the technical achievement is top notch. So I end up putting it in my top 10, although once you get down to around 10, 11, 12, a lot of those movies are kind of interchangeable. The other ones we'll talk about later. I've clearly a top 5 tier that I think are just phenomenal. And then when you get down to like 10 minutes, so you can interchange this with a couple of others. But as of now, from the way I pre-ranked them to talk about this, it sits at like the number 10 spot. So I'd be okay with what is it, the S zone?
Yeah,
and then we play it from there. But I'll go S for now. But something could easily knock it off if the argument was made as we go along. But it's amazing. Inarritu knows how to make a movie. And who's that guy? Chavo, right? Is that his name? Who does he won 2? Lubeski, is that his name? Who won 2 Oscars?
Oh, the cinematographer. Yeah, Lubeski.
Yeah,
insane. Yeah, he's so. The guy's like the heir to Janusz Kaminski, who's still hitting it out of the park. So there's a lot of great players at work now, and I'm excited to see what Inarritu does next. Feels like it's been a while, but anyway, you know where I stand.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. And for me, I'd probably give it an S tier. I would probably rank it kind of near the bottom of the S tier, just because maybe Steven was saying it's not as immersive as I would want it to be, but it's pretty dang immersive. To a point, but it has some brutal scene. Obviously you have that scene where he gets raped by a bear. That's pretty crazy. And then he has to survive, survive. And
he doesn't get raped by the bear. That's a misnomer. He just gets clawed up.
Basically, he gets attacked.
I just rewatched
it. Say bear rape scene.
He gets raped by a bear. Yeah, I'm putting it at the top. I'm changing my vote.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what people say.
Animal human bear scene.
But
he was there's ravaged, destroyed, but not raped.
Yeah, right.
There was no penetration. That's on the cutting room floor.
No,
right.
No, he does not get impregnated by the bear. That's not true.
I saw the director's cut, so I have a different version.
Yeah. But that aside, all the scenes that they film in up in Canada, it's just beautiful cinematography, and then you have Tom Hardy in there. I think that's an S tier all the way. And I tried to put all the movies for you guys in the private chat. It didn't really list them right. It just has them as a big blob of list of all the movies in there. So they are there because for some reason when I set this tier ranker up, it did the landscape mode instead of portrait, so it's a little hard to kind of tell what some of these are. So you can go in the private chat if you need a little reminder. But anyways, I think S tier, that seems to be the consensus for that. So yeah, we'll move on to Austin. You're up next. So what do you got?
Yeah, as much as I like The Revenant, obviously just to watch it and it's a masterful movie, my favorite Leo movie on this list and one that I think deserves an S tier and really has become essentially my favorite movie of the last 10 years is The Wolf of Wall Street. And I think it deserves S tier.
Sure.
Just
I'm gonna find it now that they're kind of funky.
It's over on the right,
Pictures.
right in the middle, with him in the suit.
I don't know
All the way to the right.
Over
with him in the suit next to Titanic.
There you go. Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just one of the most purely entertaining films I've seen ever. I mean, it's the most entertaining 3-hour film that's ever been made. Scorsese is just on fire. Leo is on fire. It's so quotable. It's a party movie. You hate this guy, but you want to be him at the same time. The scams are amazing. As much as you despise him for what he's doing, you want to be a part of this environment. It's just this movie is just so much fun. I've watched it, no joke, like probably at least 40 or 50 times since it came out. I love this movie so much. I have a great story I'll talk about probably on the podcast when we start about seeing this movie with my parents in the theater and how awkward that was.
Okay.
But we'll get that. But that's another story for another time. But this movie is amazing. All the supporting cast is incredible, and the fact that you do not lose attention from the screen over the course of 3 hours is one of the main reasons I think it's just top level. I love this movie.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Steven?
It's
Wall Street.
It's a very entertaining movie for sure, and DiCaprio gives a very energetic performance at times. It's in my top 10, but I have to admit it's probably number 10 for me. And truth be told, out of his 5 collaborations with Scorsese, is probably my least favorite of the 5, just because it is a very long movie, and there were times when I did feel it. But it's still in my top 10, so.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Paul, of The Wolf of Wall Street?
This is a solid top 3 probably ever of DiCaprio's work. I mean, you got to be ready for some holy shit because there's holy shit moments throughout this movie. I mean,
in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, and can we talk about the Quaalude scene? I mean, it's like here's the thing where
yes,
that's an Oscar-worthy performance. Yeah, for sure. The Quaalude scene alone is Oscar-worthy.
It's kind of reminded me of Natural Born Killers. Obviously, different topics, but like Oliver Stone had to pull out all the stops to show how the media has influenced violence in America to make Natural Born Killers. I think Scorsese pulls out all the stops to show how outrageous the rich can behave and how the privileged, really dumb people who come up in the stock trade business can, just implode their lives. And the mock outrage for how it glamorized Jordan Belfort made me crazy. If you watch this movie and think, well, it just looks great, then you're an idiot. So that's something that made me nuts at the time. But this is some of the craziest debauchery ever put to screen. And the interesting thing about the drama that it is it's also perhaps in whatever year it came out. What was that?
2013.
It perhaps is 2013's funniest movie as well. Somehow.
And
it just covers a lot of bases.
Yeah.
I love this movie.
What do you think, Chris?
I agree. This movie is laugh out loud hilarious. As you said, the habituate scene where they take all the drugs and they're just like so they're good. High as fuck, and they step outside and sort of like he's falling down the stairs, and that's when he kind of comes to and realizes, wait a second, how the hell did we even get home? The car is trashed. It's seriously one of the best. Yeah, it's amazing. Definitely. Yeah. For that moment, I wouldn't necessarily probably put it at the top of S, but I'm okay with where it is. It is definitely an S tier level movie. Yes, it does feel long at times, but it's kind of one of those interesting movies where you almost want to be him because he feels so badass. Like he has the cool boat, he has the cool cars, he has the the gorgeous women. Like, his life is okay. But as you said, like, his life is not okay. We clearly say that nothing is okay about his life. And what he does is out of control. And he catches up to him.
Yep. Well, for me, I think that The Wolf of Wall Street is my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie, like, of all time. Like, I love The Wolf of Wall Street. It's a definite S tier, easy for me. And like, I just like, for one, he's playing a guy named Jordan, so I mean that's like an awesome like thing to love right there. And then also he just like takes command of like every scene that he's in, and like if he wants something, like he just sees the girl across the room, he sees Margot Robbie, he just walks up and she's with somebody else, but he just takes her and he just takes what he wants. He wants money, if he wants the girl, if he wants drugs, if he wants whatever he wants, he's just gonna take it. So I mean, like, it's a pretty cool like thing, but at the same time, like kind of messed up a little bit, you know. So like, but I love the dynamic between Leo and Jonah Hill for sure. So I mean, yeah, there's a lot to love. So yeah, I think S tier. I think that's a solid spot for it. So we'll leave it there, and we'll throw it over to
Aaron.
Steven.
What did you think? You agree?
Oh yeah,
Aaron.
Sorry. My bad, Aaron.
Don't forget AA Ron. You put some respect on his name.
Well, I skipped Chris last time too.
Right, I was gonna say I'm not that.
Now it's Aaron.
I'm not that.
Yeah. So Aaron, definitely. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a great movie. I think it's the best film Scorsese made in the 2010s. I think it's one of Leo's best movies, and yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you guys said. But you know, this is just kind of the warning with this movie. Obviously, as a part of a kind of the fun vibe that the movie's going for, it does take things that are unglamorous and glamorize them, and then at certain points it'll kind of show you the ugly side of it. But it's the equivalent of like saying, oh, I shot somebody because I heard a song and they said shoot people. If you want to be Jordan Belfort because you watched a movie and saw what he was doing, you didn't get the right message from this movie, and that's kind of on you. Like, yeah, cool, hookers and drugs might look fun, but actually, I think the guy spent 2 years in prison with Tommy Chong, so maybe you do want to do things the way he did, because that sounds like fun. But other than that,
yeah,
it's a fun movie for sure.
We'll leave it in S tier for now, and we'll see where it ends up by the end. But yeah, we'll throw it over to Steven now. What do you got? What do you want to pick?
I'll go with The Aviator, which I think is actually probably my second favorite of his collaborations with Scorsese. I think it's breathlessly, even though it's a long movie, it's breathlessly paced, it's mesmerizing, and I think I'm not sure, it might be my favorite DiCaprio performance, because I think he's just exceptional in the movie. And I loved the early parts of the movie where, where he, with him as a filmmaker, scenes are great. And then, of course, his descent into madness was, I think, exceptional. Well done. I love the.
All right. So you say S tier then? I would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good then. Then Paul, what do you think of The Aviator?
I'm all for leaving that in S. It's a extremely accomplished piece of work. Perhaps DiCaprio's best performance. It was interesting. That year was the year Jamie Foxx won for Ray, and I was remembering back to 1988 when Siskel and Ebert were talking about Dustin Hoffman winning for Rain Man. They said he did that one thing well, but the character itself is not good with interacting with people, so it becomes this reserved sort of introspective performance that if you nail the thing, you're going to give a good performance. They said, but Gene Hackman in Mississippi Burning had to be so much more that year in 1988, where he had to be, in order to get to the bottom of the killing of these civil rights workers, he had to act one way with Francis McDormand. He had to act one tough with the sheriff. He had to act a different way with the locals. He had the relationship with his partner, who was a by-the-books kind of guy, and they were at odds all the time. So Hackman had this much more nuanced performance, had to bring so much more to it. Cut to 2004, Jamie Foxx finds that one thing with Ray, pretty much a great impersonation, And it's a good performance. But DiCaprio, I mean, he had to be one way with Katharine Hepburn, who was treating him a certain way and demanded a response. He had to act a different way with his family. And then he had, of course, the government breathing down his neck while he's trying to be this great filmmaker, while he's trying to be this great inventor, and while he's handling a disease. So I thought juggling all that stuff was excellently done by DiCaprio, and I thought he deserved the Oscar a little more than Fox that year just for breaking it down like that. Of course, there's many years DiCaprio could have deserved the Oscar, but this is one of his finest performances. And of course, Scorsese's no slouch in filmmaking, as we've already discussed with Wolf of Wall Street. And a friend of mine worked on the effects of the Beverly Hills plane crash, and you wouldn't believe how many miniatures were used. It looks so flawless. So that's impressive too. And of course, Blanchett won the Oscar, which was deserved. Definitely S tier.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, what do you think, Chris? The Aviator.
So I love The Aviator. I think it's a great movie. I've always been fascinated by him. I think he's interesting, an interesting individual. I mean, to think he was working on films. He also helped design planes. I didn't really get to kind of say my piece. I think Revenant is a pretty good movie. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I'm not opposed to putting it in S tier where we all have it. But for DiCaprio's performance, with him sort of, the normal to his descent to absolute madness, was an unbelievable transformative performance on his part. I would have to move Aviator above Revenant.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, well, we'll kind of see where it lies. Maybe I'll just do it for now, but we'll give it an official ranking at the end. But let's see. Paul, you're up.
Did we go back around?
What about me and Aaron and
around.
you and
Wait a minute.
What's going on?
I'm getting out of line. Then tell me whose turn it is, because I'm like lost in the thought of what I'm saying.
It was your turn, Jordan,
Steven.
and then we swung back around to Aaron.
Well, no, Steven was supposed to go next.
No.
Oh, I understand that, but we didn't even give our thoughts on The Aviator. We only got two people's thoughts on The Aviator.
Yeah. Okay.
You see what I mean?
I thought it was Steven next, but okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so, Aaron, what do you think? Sorry, I'm just throwing it around willy-nilly.
I agree with Paul's analysis on Ray. I 100% agree with that. His impersonation was so good, he ended up doing it on a Kanye song too. But The Aviator is the only collaboration with him and Scorsese I haven't seen, so I can't actually comment on that.
Okay. Well, then
I can't be silent because I might have the Chris Scott hot take of the night. I hate The Aviator. I saw this movie for the first time a few days ago. Hated almost everything about it. Other than aspects of Leo's performance. I thought this movie was a mess. I thought the screenplay was all over the place. I thought the movie was unfocused, which is unlike Scorsese, but when it makes sense when you think about the behind the scenes, how it was not a Scorsese movie. It was a Leo pet project who he kind of got Scorsese at the last minute to do it. I think the movie is completely unfocused. And it loses track. I would have loved to seen a movie about him making that the plane movie at the beginning and like a whole movie about that, but then it jumps all over the place. I think the Katharine Hepburn, Cate Blanchett performance is laughable. I think it's hilariously bad. It's a terrible performance. Yeah, no, I have the hot take, dude. I hate The Aviator. I think it's a disaster of a movie. Hated it. Hated it.
I hate the Revenant.
Okay.
Well, I skipped over myself because I haven't seen this movie, so I mean, I don't really have anything I can really say.
I saw it in theaters, so yeah.
Well, I've seen some bits and pieces. I think when it was in theaters, I was waiting for another movie to start, and I saw the beginning, like the like plane scene in the beginning, and I thought that seemed good, but I didn't see anything else, so I can't really comment on it. So, but for your argument, I mean, you seem to have enough argument for the S tier, but I'm going to leave it at the bottom for now, and we'll kind of see. We can talk about it more. But now we'll throw it over to Paul. All right. You want to pick one?
Well, I may not get much pushback from Chris on this because I think we already talked about it, but we'll see what else everybody else has to say. But at a solid number one spot for me is, to quote Brad Pitt in Inglourious Bastards, I think this just might be my masterpiece. Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It had fantastic timing. Of course, this was a summer full of sequels like Secret Life of Pets 2, Men in Black International, Hobbs and Shaw, Detective Pikachu, etc. And then I saw one of the more original movies I've seen in years in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You got Cliff Booth, stuntman extraordinaire, and Rick Dalton, fading actor. And I love La La Land. I think it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I could watch Mia and Seb just do stuff for hours. Even more so, I could watch Cliff and Rick do anything. Play Scrabble, go to In-N-Out, whatever. For hours, I could watch these two guys. You've got two of the biggest stars in the world just totally delivering. You got Margot Robbie again, who we talked about before. I mean, it's amazing to think that she has this insane beauty, but has skills to match, which is great. You know, she's got one or two Oscar nominations, I think, under her belt already, and could be more. I love that. I love that she, isn't just going to, go into the romantic comedies and we don't see her again. So, and she was great in this. It represents the year that Hollywood had a hole punched in it. These were beautiful people living in the hills, living a life of luxury, and Manson came along and just boom, popped that bubble. And so it was interesting that he didn't make a movie about that, but he made a movie about guys living in that. And, even there's a scene at the end of the movie where Cliff takes the dog for a walk, comes back in, doesn't lock the door behind him. And I think to myself, that is the last time that's going to happen. And sure enough, the Manson family comes in the door, and he has to deal with them in a completely unique, bizarre, and damn near hilarious way. And DiCaprio itself in there, I mean, he's just drinking and smoking, and he's completely volatile. He's about to jump off a ledge with how his career is going, and it's fascinating to watch. You could tell Tarantino is just in love with this era. There's an underlying tension the entire movie, even while everyone's having fun. Manson's out there. We get glimpses of him. And he doesn't do much. He's there walking away from a truck, or he goes up to a house, and Pitt finally got his acting Oscar. I always say that and I'll wrap it up. Sorry, I know the gang from Ocean's 11. Whoever cast that film, I mean, it was kind of an easy cast once you see the names involved, but. Yep. Damon, Clooney, and Pitt. I'm like, these are the three guys who are going to be the future of this industry. Back in 2001, when I saw that movie, I'm like, they're again, like Margot Robbie, good-looking guys, but they make better choices. And sure enough, they've all gotten Oscars. Of course, Damon had his already, but Clooney picked one up for Syriana and producing Argo, and Pitt got one for producing 12 Years a Slave, and then finally got one for acting for this. Now, Damon just needs one for acting as well. I just love the three of those guys. And Pitt showing up here. I was on my feet last year when he won that Oscar. Cliff Booth is an indelible, historically entertaining as hell character. I love him. The whole thing is riveting and hypnotic, and it's amazing to think it's his most recent movie, and DiCaprio is operating at a high level, and so is Tarantino. I hope Tarantino doesn't max out his career at 10 films like he said he was going to. I could go on. This is a great, unique film. Yeah,
for sure. Chris, what do you think?
So this movie surprised me, okay? So I saw Hateful Eight in theaters. I did not love it. And I was like, okay, I'll just give it a rest. I love Quentin Tarantino. I love his movies. So I actually kind of waited on this movie. And I think I went and bought it, actually. And I put it in, and I was like, this is a good movie. As you said, the tension with Manson is incredible, okay? We know who Manson is, but nobody else really does. Like, I love the moment where Margot Robbie goes to the movie theater. That was such a great moment. And you're just like, I think the interaction with them was just solid, on point. You could feel the tension throughout the whole movie. And the epic conclusion was amazing. And yes, I do want more Cliff and Booth adventures. That would be amazing. For that reason alone, absolutely I agree it's an S tier. We can debate where we're putting it. That's fine, because apparently we're not moving anything. I would absolutely put it above Wolf of Wall Street. Absolutely.
All right, yeah, and for me, this is one of those those movies that like really made me think a lot, because when I saw it the first time in theaters, I was like I'm not really sure like how much I really like that movie. Like it's kind of like a different like, I don't know, just a different thing for Leo, and so I had to go back and see it a second time, and like seeing it a second time, I actually caught a lot of things that I missed. I actually was able to kind of immerse myself more in the story and the characters, and I absolutely loved it. And especially the scene where you see Cliffy goes to that little trailer park area, and there's some like shady stuff going on with maybe some like some women being held prisoner, like whatever's going on, just the tension from that scene is just like pretty amazing, and like just overall, just like the relationships between like all three of them, Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, Margot Robbie. I mean, it just was just great. So yeah, I'm really glad I went and saw it a second time, because after the first time I was kind of like I don't know how much I like it. It was okay, but then yeah, I'm really glad I saw it again, and I loved it. So yeah, I would agree with that steer. But what do you think, Aaron?
I gotta interrupt, because I'm sure that's what the show is about, right?
Oh yeah,
and say that scene at the Spawn Ranch when Pitt shows up to figure out what's going on. That's his Oscar. That to me is the Oscar,
right?
Because they compare him to Redford for his whole career, and here's where he really does Redford's work: super heavy lifting and making it look easy. Like that scene, everything's underneath, everything is played below what's really happening there, and his slow dissection of what's happening at the ranch is fascinating. I could watch that all day too. I mean, it was just great. And so that for me is, I mean, he's good in the whole movie, but that scene, I'm like, wow, there's something to submit to the Oscars.
Yeah, same. That's my favorite scene of the movie. So, but what do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, I really, really like this movie, and I think this is more a testament to Tarantino as a whole film. I don't even know if it's in my like top Tarantino, but what I do think this film has with it is it's one of Leo's best performances. It's definitely one of Brad Pitt's best performances, and I think it's some of Tarantino's best writing in terms of the actual dialogue within the script. This movie has so many different just random lines that are weirdly memorable or weirdly quotable, you know, and a lot of it coming from Leo and Brad, whether it be, you know, Leo's freak out in the trailer, the whole conversation between Bruce Lee and Brad Pitt's character, even down to like little lines that I don't know why I remember them, because just the delivery, like when he's on the farm, right? And the girls are like, "Oh my God, we love our pussy." Yes, we do. Like everything about the delivery of the script and the way that it's written is the best part of this film. And I remember before this movie came out, this was one of those things where I thought, okay, I didn't know how much this was going to work, because, you know, Leo and Brad are these two powerhouse actors who have never really worked together. And it's a question of, are they going to complement each other, or are they just going to be fighting for the star power the whole time? And the question is, no, they complemented each other brilliantly. They allowed each other to play off each other. And in one scene, if it's Cliff's time, then Leo's giving it to him. And if another scene, it's Leo's time, then Brad's giving it to him. And I think that's a testament to how great they truly are together.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, Austin, how much did you hate it?
Yeah,
I don't hate it, but I also I don't understand the overt love for this movie. Am I the only one that doesn't absolutely adore this film? I mean, I've rewatched it. I've tried to go back to it several times, and there's just something that doesn't click with me about it. I think the performances are good. I think Leo and Brad are great together. Margot Robbie has nothing to do in that movie. I don't understand the praise for her. We watch her pack a bag for 10 minutes. Like, is that really what we're doing in that movie? I don't know. To me, like, I would rather watch almost any other Tarantino movie over this one, rather than, or except for Death Proof. I'd rather watch any other Tarantino movie. I can't put it above Hateful Eight and Django Unchained, because I've watched both those movies probably 30 or 40 times easy. I can watch those movies anytime, pop them on, enjoy them, quote them, the whole thing. But I don't love this movie, man. I know he's like obsessed with old Hollywood. He's obsessed with all this stuff. I appreciate that he was able to recreate old Hollywood the way he did. Like, it's very authentic, and I enjoy that stuff. And again, I like the performances. But man, like, to me, this is like one of his least watchable movies. It's like a B level for me, just because I like every other Tarantino movie over it. I don't get the love for it. I know you guys love it, and that's cool. I just don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't understand it.
Shall I tell you about Margot Robbie's performance in the movie? her Sharon Tate has to be so full of life because you know the inevitable is coming for her. And then he fucking saves her life. Tarantino went back to 1969 and he wanted to save her life. And I love that. That is a driven filmmaker. He's so in love with her. He's so in love with that era. He's like, I'm going to go back in time and I'm going to save her. And I just think that's like heroic shit from behind the lens. And so I just, that's
fine. I just wish she had something to do in the movie other than like wander around. I mean, I think she's way better in The Wolf of Wall Street. I don't see how you can say she's better in this movie than The Wolf of Wall Street. That's absurd.
Well, I can't because she had more to do in Wolf of Wall Street. Here, she was watching her. Everything she did in this movie was kind of like foreboding. Like, look at the life she has. Look at how she's twirling at this party. How she's watching her own movie, and she's amazed that she's on the big screen, and the people at the theater are so kind to her. And then all the time you're going, she's going to die. We're about an hour away from her death.
It's like the way that I'd compare it is like it's the equivalent of like. And this is a more recent movie, but the movie that came out, it was on HBO Max as well, The Little Things, where Jared Leto's the person who's in the seat of like, is he the potential killer? Throughout half that movie, Jared Leto has nothing to do except you're just getting shots of him doing weird, strange things, and it's just building up the momentum to reaching the point of the reveal. That's kind of the same thing that he's doing with her in this film. There's not a lot for the character to literally do in the script, but you're cutting back to her and keeping her a constant part of the film because you know exactly where it's supposed to be headed, and you're just kind of getting in the mindset and the life set of who she is before the inevitable is coming, and then that's where the flip happens and she ends up surviving.
And all hell breaks loose with the fight and the tension and the chaos and the panic attack I had in the seat watching, the Manson family guys break into Rick's house, and then it just all quells. Rick says, it's your good friend Cliff. I try, and he goes away. And then what? Then what? Sharon Tate's voice through the speaker. She's alive, and it's like, wow. I mean, to me, that was like breathtaking and super sweet moment to go out on.
Realize that? Holy shit! Sorry. Oh my god! Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just. I
love the scene where he barbecues him with a fucking blowtorch. That was amazing.
Everything.
To me, there's a better Tarantino movie on this list. I'm sure it'll come up, but then
Django Unchained on here. I love that movie.
So
Well, for me, like it's all the little nuances, like all the little things that like build and all the tension and like just the little things that that you see in all these acting performances, and that's why I went to go see it a second time because I was just like, I don't know, like it was like I kind of thought the same thing that like some of the characters are just kind of wandering around. There's not a lot for some characters to do. Like the whole Manson thing is like a side piece to this whole story, and I kind of wish that like it was more of a focal point maybe. But like when I went back to see it, like I appreciated all that stuff, and I really like just paid attention to all the little things that I missed. So that made me appreciate it more. So, but we haven't heard from Steven yet. What do you think, Steven?
Well, it's in my top 10. It's 7 or 8. It would have been higher, except I think the first 2 hours of the movie are pretty much perfect. But I kind of think it kind of drives off a cliff in the last 20 minutes because I just think that scene where the Manson people break into Pitt's house is so cartoonish. And it just feels like it belongs in a different movie to me.
You're talking about Tarantino, though, dude. Have you seen the violence in his movies? Of course it's cartoonish and over the top. People's heads explode in Django Unchained when they get shot, dude. It's cartoony.
Hey, I know you. You were on a horsey. I mean, I just...
Yeah, all right. Boom. Yeah.
Well, what's the other... Well, what's your name? It's Tex. No, something dumber than that.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't think we're going to put every Leo movie in S tier. Let's get to some other ones and see. But so it's Chris. It's your turn. You want to pick one?
This is hard because it's like I really want to go for like one of my favorite movies, and I really actually want to go for like one of the movies on this list that I hate. Like I hate it.
True.
So I'm gonna do the usual Chris thing. Okay. So I hate Body of Lies. Okay. I literally saw it at so I saw it at Boise
Don't get
State
D.
as a student. D, yes, absolutely. So I saw it at Boise State. I love all the cast in this movie, but it's just so draggy and so disjointed. I hated this movie so much. It's definitely D tier. There's nothing redeemable about this movie.
Well, the Body of Lies for me was one of the ones that's on my list to try to watch this week. Unfortunately, I didn't get to it. The one
Well, you saved yourself.
Yeah. So I can't really comment on it. So I'm just gonna throw it over to Aaron. And what do you got to say about Body of Lies?
I saw it once a few years ago. It's got a good cast, and I think they all deliver performances. Like, I think Leo is good. I do think Russell Crowe is good. Oscar Isaac's in it, like, early on in his career. I think for the part he has in it, he's good. But I don't have, like, a visceral hatred, but this is definitely one of the lower films. It's kind of one of the epitomizing films of what Ridley Scott's career has become, which is a lot of just middling, down the road, iffy films. So I mean, like, maybe only because it's S to D, there's not like a F, whatever. There's not a lower tier. Maybe it is down there, but I don't hate it. I saw it once. I thought the performances were fine. Nothing else is really memorable about it. It's just kind of a movie that's in his filmography.
Right. But when you think, Austin?
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. This was a first time watch about a week ago for me, and it's just kind of boring, drab, mid-2000s CIA terrorist, whatever. It just the movie just goes by. There's not anything that really makes it stand out to really be special. I think Russell Crowe's playing a role he could play in his sleep in that movie, just kind of on the phone half the time with Leo. It's just what the point you made about Ridley Scott is so true. Like, you wouldn't know this is a Ridley Scott movie. This could have been made by almost anybody. I mean, and it's definitely indicative of the slog that he was in kind of around that time, about he wasn't really standing out or making anything special. It's just, again, it's not a horribly made movie or anything like that. Like, everybody's fine in it, but there's nothing that makes it stand out. So yeah, it's like a CD level, like, very mediocre movie.
Yeah, and I'm actually, without seeing it, surprised to find out it's even a Ridley Scott movie. So it doesn't really seem like one of
you wouldn't know it. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, but
and honestly, well, sorry, not to cut you off, but like, this literally is the epitome of Ridley Scott, because 1 year before this, he made American Gangster. So to go from that to this is like, that's kind of what Scott's doing nowadays. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, just gonna throw it over to Steven. What do you think of Body of Lies?
Well, I haven't seen it since it was in theaters, and that was like 2008. And I remember thinking it was kind of boring. I think I even fell asleep for a little bit of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's conceivable.
Well, based on other comments, it sounds maybe about right. But what do you think, Paul?
I might bump it up to a C. I truthfully don't remember it very well, except when I watched it, I remember thinking it was pretty good. It is definitely not American Gangster, and he kind of went into that funk he talked about. He didn't come out of it until The Martian, I don't think. So it was about 7 years where he was just doing okay stuff. I think All the Money in the World was great, so I think he's kind of back. I'm curious to see what Ridley Scott does next.
Hopefully it's not another Alien movie.
Yeah, he did swing for the fences with Prometheus. I give him
He tried.
We did.
I'm talking more about Alien Covenant. Prometheus is at least watchable.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I was gonna say, he's got that Gucci movie, and he's got the one with Affleck and Damon coming. So
I would argue for a C, but I wouldn't argue all that hard. So if it stays at D, I remain seated.
I just laughed because I know Chris and I know his take on Prometheus. I know he hates that movie. So, but we won't get into that right just now. But Chris, what do you think about Body of Lies in that movie?
I already got
Steven,
he nominated
Lies,
it. He nominated it, Jordan. So
I nominated it. I said Buddy Lies.
Wait, nominated. Okay, all right.
I could be so happy
you're right.
that it says
You're
where
right. You're the one that.
And if there was a
Well,
lower
that
tier
again,
we
so-
could create right now for this, it would go there too.
Right.
Jordan, you need a co-producer, like someone to do the tier stuff.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Don't get lost with what's going on.
So
Get an intern.
Like the order of
Paul's saying he's going to be
who's
an
next?
intern for our show.
What order? Yeah.
He's going to help
Right.
us formulate all the tiers.
Funny,
Yeah.
maybe it's my headset, but I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Paul was just saying he's going to formulate our tears.
Yeah, right. well, so I came in his hot take for a reason, so I'm gonna give my hot take, and I'm gonna pick Titanic, and I hate Titanic. I cannot stand this movie. I think it's just like boring as hell. Like it's just a movie that just never really resonated with me. But I can understand why people love it though, and I will admit that it has probably one of the greatest set pieces ever in like any cinema, and like the costume design's great, but like the story just bored me. And there was room on the door at the end for Jack, like he could absolutely have fit. So I mean, I just think that it's just like it just kind of just drags for me. It's just I never really got why it was the number one at the box office for so many years. It just kind of just blew my mind away. But I mean, yeah, it just didn't really sit with me. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I'll leave it at that. But I will say that I put it in the D tier. That's me. But Aaron, what do you think?
Well, it's certainly better than Body of Lies, so it should be higher
it's gonna
than
move
that.
up. Yeah, I mean, I understand it's probably gonna move. So I'll do that.
From my own taste, I wouldn't put Titanic in the top 10, but I certainly do think it's a great film. For me, it's probably around A. I think it's more of a technical marvel than it is anything to do with the story, which is unfortunately kind of where James Cameron's career is gone. His last two films, for me, and Avatar is not terrible. I don't hate Avatar, but the technical marvel of what they're doing with the film is so much more interesting than the story itself. I think the movie leading up to it is fine. I think DiCaprio and is it Winslet, right? Kate Winslet's the girl?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I think their performance. Yes. I apologize. There's too many Kates in Hollywood, all right? I think their performances do elevate it, and they are good together. But the film, to me at least, doesn't get interesting until really the last hour when everything starts going down. But in terms of an all-encompassing film, I think it is a technical marvel. I understand why it's so beloved. I understand why it's, had the Oscar love. It had the box office for so many years. And to be fair, I think all of Leo's pretty boy movies out of the 90s are anywhere from middling to solid, good, and Titanic is the best of them. So.
All right. Well, I'm gonna not move it yet. We'll leave it there and see what the rest of you have to say. What do you think, Austin?
I think it's like an A level. I don't hate Titanic at all. I think it's all right. I think it's the story is not the greatest in the first hour or so, but for me, Billy Zane steals that movie, and he's awesome. He's like the best rich douchebag ever. Like you just want to punch him in the face. He's great. And I actually think the last hour or so of that movie is one of the best disaster movies ever made. I love it just strictly for the disaster stuff. I think it's amazingly done. Like all those set pieces, the panic of the movie, all the water stuff, the flooding, everything's. That movie's technically awesome, and I even like the stuff with Bill Paxton, flashing back to present day. I think is a lot of fun. So maybe the actual, Leo Kate stuff is okay, because there's a lot of Jack Rose, Jack Rose, Jack Rose, like for most of their dialogue. But I think the movie is still, like Aaron was saying, I think it's the best of his sort of earlier years. Leading up to it before he made kind of the turn in the 2000s. But I think it deserves to at least be A level.
Right. What do you think, Steven? Titanic.
It's always been one of my favorites of his. I think it's a great love story. It's a fantastic spectacle. Amazing production design, visual effects. Yeah, so I've always thought it was one of my favorites of his.
Where would you want to rank it if you could? Would you put it S tier then, probably, if it's one of your favorites, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah, because I probably would rank it like his overall top 10.
Yeah. Well, Paul, what do you think?
I go S tier on this. I mean, Titanic is a big, splashy Hollywood masterpiece. I mean, it's it's got a simple class struggle story in the middle of it. People clearly, like, even here in this conversation, think that class struggle is a little too simply told, and that is true. Characters are drawn a little narrow, but but he has this reverence for the event. Even just like getting on the ship has this sort of foreboding doom, and I love the way that he just. Yeah, there is no small scene in that movie that he can't make, metaphoric and larger than it actually is. And yeah, talk about it is no doubt, to follow up with Austin there, it's one of the greatest disaster movies ever made. I mean the scope with which he thought to build that movie. Is it as good as Boogie Nights and LA Confidential? 97 was a pretty stacked year. I don't know, but Titanic holds up there, and I'll put it in S. It's probably in my top 5, but if that means it drags it up from D, then I'll stay.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I'll put it in S.
Well, as much as I hate this movie, I understand that it is a great movie overall. Like, not to me, but understand why people think it's great. So yeah. I mean, I kind of figured it would end up in S anyways. I just wanted to give my little take on it. But what do you think, Chris?
Also, I didn't really get to say my take earlier on Revenant, so I want to put Titanic in front of Revenant. It's a much better movie. Yeah. Revenant is just all right. Yep. That's where I want it. And I'd even want to put Revenant down in A or B.
Well, we'll see. We'll see where it lands when we get to it. But all right, we'll throw it over to Aaron. You want to pick one?
Oh, did that stay in S? Nice.
Yeah, it stayed in S.
Oh, so much greatness left on this list.
For now, we'll see.
So much greatness. Let's go with something damn mediocre. J. Edgar. This is a movie that just overall as a movie, it's and to me, it's kind of symbolic as well. Kind of with Body of Lies, it's in that same part. It's symbolic of kind of what Clint Eastwood has become over the last few years. I mean, he can still put out a great film every once in a while. I would even say his last one, Richard Jewell, was one of the better ones of his 2010. But this is a movie that is very middling at best, that is saved because DiCaprio is so committed to the performance. And I mean, you can tell he's struggling a little bit, fighting through all that makeup and the prosthetics and trying to get that out there. But he is such a great actor that he can get through it. For me, it's like B or C. It's middle of the road of his career. But, just for something different,
Yeah. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, this was another of my first watches going into the show about a week ago. And yeah, it's such a weird biopic, man. Like, I don't know what the movie's trying to say about J. Edgar. I don't know what Clint Eastwood's going for. Leo's definitely committed, that's for sure. Like, he's interesting to watch, but he's like the only thing that keeps you watching the movie, really. And his relationship with oh God, why am I blanking on his name? The guy who played the twins in The Social Network.
Armie Hammer.
Armie Hammer, yeah. And yeah, their kind of relationship in the movie was compelling enough. But yeah, it's just like, this is another thing. Much how we talked about Body of Lies was kind of indicative of Ridley Scott. This is like indicative of what Clint Eastwood has kind of become, because you can tell there's like, we've all heard the rumors about the one take, 2 takes and we're moving on, like a TV show that Clint Eastwood does. And you can tell there's some of that in here, and the makeup is kind of wonky and just the script is not great, but the performances are okay. To me, it's like a C level. I liked it more than Body of Lies.
Yeah, fair enough. What do you think, Steven?
I actually liked it less than Body of Lies. But I thought they were both fairly mediocre movies. Not like horrible, but still in my bottom 3 of movies.
All right, yeah. So you probably give it a D, but we'll see. What do you think, Paul?
I'm on board with Steven on this one. I actually like Body of Lies better, but they're both rather forgettable. The main thing I remember about J. Edgar is makeup, and that is a real bad trait for the movie. Like, just struggling and so much makeup and just so old, and it's like that's all I remember. I don't remember their relationship, the crime fighting. I don't remember any of that. I remember that there was a crap ton of makeup that these guys were just struggling with. And I've seen that before, like the end of Beautiful Mind. You're like, just, I don't know, get different actors or something. It's like, it was rough. And so clearly, if that's all I remember, the movie wasn't doing much for me.
Hey, Paul, can I tell you, my roommate was just walking by while I was watching this movie the other day, and the only thing he noticed, he looked over the screen and goes, "Man, the makeup on that one guy's really bad." And that's all he commented.
There you go.
And it was when Armie Hammer was like in the old makeup. Yeah. So that's the thing that stands out. That's not good.
Yeah. Clearly, it's what you remember, and it's what you notice if you first watch it. Both. So that's bad.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Right. Well, Chris, what do you think?
Well, sounds like I dodged a bullet not having watched this movie, and I debated watching it because I actually kind of like J. Edgar Hoover. I think he's a fascinating individual. And I was like, cool, it's got Leonardo DiCaprio. And I kind of like Clint Eastwood. I think he's awesome. So from the consensus, I think it belongs behind Body of Lies.
Yeah.
Find like a good documentary or something, Chris. Don't watch that movie to get a story of them.
Oh, yeah.
And to Austin's point, watch Richard Jewell. I thought that movie was excellent.
Oh yeah, no, Aaron made that point, but yeah, for sure, I like it. I actually liked Richard Jewell a lot. Yeah, Jewell was good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that wasn't me trying to shit on Clint Eastwood. It's just, for every Richard Jewell and American Sniper, he also has Jersey Boys and 1517 to Paris. So it's like he's really right now.
The career's too long to be a winning streak. It's gonna have a
Yeah, right. No, I'm gonna have winners, but for me, I think I dodged a bullet too because I haven't seen it, and I didn't see it because the reviews are just so bad, and like even word of mouth from people that like see a lot of movies that I actually trust. They said, "No, you can skip this one. It's not really worth it." So I never saw it. So.
He texted me, and I was like, "You're fine, bro. Don't go out of your way to see it."
Yep, he was one of them. So yeah. It sounds like the consensus is probably just behind Body of Lies. I mean, I don't think it's to say that's like the worst movie ever made, but like I don't think any of Leo's movies are the worst ever made. So yeah, we'll leave it there, and then we'll go back to Austin. So you're up.
I'm debating which of the two to do, but I talked about it earlier, man. I got to put my favorite Tarantino movie up on this list, and that's Django Unchained. So we got to talk about it for S tier.
Oh yeah,
it's awesome.
I know it's one of these.
It's a damn good movie.
So now I know we can debate, and you guys, I'm sure, will debate what you like more as far as Hollywood versus Django Unchained. But we can all at least agree that Django Unchained is awesome. It's so good. I mean, Christoph Waltz is amazing. Jamie Foxx is great, and dude, Leo, when he shows up as Calvin Candy, man, he just eats up the screen. He's so good. It's such a untyped performance for Leo, with the rotted teeth and just the kind of accent, and he's just such a scumbag in the movie, but he's a scumbag you're fascinated watching, especially that monologue he does with the skull. It's great. So I thought he should have won the Oscar, to be honest, that year for supporting actor. I thought he was amazing. This movie's so great. It's so rewatchable, and just all the character moments is great. I love Django Unchained. I think it's great.
Yeah. So what do you think, Steven, for Django?
It's up there for me too. Although it's not really one of my favorite performances of his, but because I usually don't really go for the over-the-top kind of performances, but he's good enough that when his character gets his comeuppance, you cheer, even though immediately afterwards I didn't cheer because it was the death of my favorite character of that movie. It's a very, very enjoyable, entertaining movie. It's more consistent than Once Upon a Time for me, but I think I rank Once Upon a Time just slightly higher, just because those first 2 hours, Once Upon a Time, are so perfect for me.
Yeah, right.
But either way.
What do you think, Paul, for Django?
I wish I loved this movie. I like it. I think it's real good. I mean, I like Tarantino. It's tough to go wrong with him. But I don't know, just never drew me in. His maybe it was like too slick or too hip, even though it never was anachronistic. It might have just been a little bit of that. Whereas I wish it kind of dove into the time period a little more, but it had its own thing going. But I love DiCaprio. I remember Born on the 4th of July with Tom Cruise. If you remember that movie, at one point Willem Dafoe comes into that movie, and he just takes over the movie. And then he gives it back to Tom Cruise when he's done, and you're like, "What the hell was that hurricane?" That was Willem Dafoe coming in and just like taking over and showing you some game and hitting the bricks. DiCaprio kind of does that here. I mean, he's famous for that scene where his hand cuts his hand on the glass, and he just keeps bleeding, and that's apparently just wasn't supposed to happen. He just really bled and kept going through that scene because he's just such a committed, badass actor, and that was fun to watch. So yeah, I don't mind. It's actually number 11, so it's just outside the top 10 for me. But I think they're going to be outvoted there. So,
well, what do you think, Chris?
I would move this above Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's very nuanced. I love that movie. It's a lot of fun. But Django was just it's over the top and it's crazy. And it's just a solid film from beginning to end. Yes, it is over the top, brutal, bloody, but I would definitely put it in S tier and above Once Upon a Time. But I would never put. Yep, I would put it just one spot higher than Once Upon a Time.
Okay, yeah. For me, I'd probably put it over Once Upon a Time. Also, but for me, my favorite is Wolf of Wall Street. So I would put that above it, But I mean, the performances, the cast. I mean, even some of the smaller casts, you have Walton Goggins in there, Don Johnson, just they're all just super solid. Kerry Washington's in there for a bit, and so yeah, but Jamie Foxx was just so damn awesome in this movie, and then just the Leonardo DiCaprio and Christoph Waltz playing the villains, and how you see him make the slaves fight each other, it's just brutal and just it just kind of even hard to watch, But yeah, I think that it's a solid S tier, and it belongs right there at the top. I mean,
dude, Sam Jackson's a great
agree.
scumbag in that movie too. That almost steals it from Leo. He's almost as despicable, if not more despicable. He does a great job too.
But Aaron, what do you think?
I like the movie. I'm kind of on the same page as Paul. I don't love it. It's probably on the lower end of Tarantino for me. I don't quite know what it is, but just something about it doesn't entirely click for me. I do think part of it does have to do with kind of the way they handle the time period. One of the things I actually like about Tarantino is when he goes with a specific period or a specific style of film, he's very good at sticking to it. And this is really the one time where he does something, but it's not really a Western. It does almost feel more like a modern popcorn movie at times than it does a Western. And so that kind of stands out as odd to me. Again, it's Tarantino. I don't think he's one of the few directors that I don't think he's actually made a bad film yet. But it's not better, at least to me, it's not better than Hollywood. It's not better than Wolf of Wall Street. It's a good movie. It probably should be in the top 10 of this list, but it's not near the top, at least for me.
Well, sound like to me, that's probably about the middle of S tier. So I'm just gonna throw it here for now. I mean, we can have a little debate at the end, but I'm gonna throw it there. So yeah, but. Let's see. So, Steven, you're up next.
Mm-hmm. I'll go with one that's not one of his best, but definitely not one of his worst ones. That I think is an entertaining movie that's not great, but very enjoyable, and that's The Quick and the Dead.
All right. Solid.
Yeah, I just think one of probably middle tier for Sam Raimi, but it's a slick, well-made, entertaining movie. DiCaprio plays the cocky young gunslinger very well. So I enjoy this movie a lot.
Yeah. So, would you say about a B? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, he
right in the middle.
He sounds good.
All right, sounds good. What do you think, Paul? The Quick and the Dead.
I live in shame, for I have not seen it. And I've even had it given to me on Blu-ray, and it sits waiting still to be seen. And I love Gene Hackman, and good Lord, ranking his movies would be like a 5-hour endeavor. So I need to see it soon, but as of yet, I have not. And for that, again, I live, I walk, I breathe in shame.
Well, fair enough. Chris, what do you think?
So the Quick and Dead's movie is a lot of fun. As you said, it's just a fun movie. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a superior movie, but I wouldn't maybe put it in B either. I would probably put it in A.
All right. Yeah. For me, this is one of the movies I saw for the first time preparing for the show, and I absolutely loved it. Like, I thought that it was great. Like Gene Hackman steals the show, but also kind of Russell Crowe too. I mean, this is probably the earliest movie that I've seen with Russell Crowe in it, and there's so many just fun cast members that pop up. I mean, Sharon Stone is in there, and then you have Gary Sinise in some flashbacks. So you even have Keith David pop up. So like, it's just a fun time. Like, it's not really like to me so much about the story. It's just more about they're having these like gunfight shootouts, and like it's just all about like who's gonna win the next shootout, and like pretty much like the whole thing's just about a new shootout every day, and like who's gonna live, who's gonna die. They do some really good filmmaking and like in the camera work where they like zoom in kind of old like Western style, like on the eyes and like the like hands when they're about to draw. They do some cool stuff like that. So overall, like I'd give it a solid A. I think A is about right. I agree with Chris with that ranking. But what do you think, Aaron, for The Quick and the Dead?
Yeah, never seen it.
All right. Well, fair enough. We'll move to Austin. What do you think?
Yeah, this is one that I was glad I got around to because I hadn't ever seen it, and I saw it about 2 weeks ago, and it was astonishing because I like westerns a lot, and it's just one I missed, and it was a lot of fun. Would I consider it like an A-level western? Not quite, because I think there's a lot of westerns that are better than it quality-wise, but man, it's a fun like B-movie, Sam Raimi movie. You know, it's exactly what it needs to be. It's really snappy. There's a great little cast in there. We didn't even talk about Leo in the movie. Leo plays a character called the Kid, and he kind of steals the movie. He's a lot of fun. He's very cocky and kind of arrogant, but he's very likable at the same time. He literally plays like a 16-year-old gunfighter, you know, who thinks he's the greatest in the world. He's a lot of fun. But yeah, like you said, a great supporting cast. Lance Henriksen's in there. Tobin Bell from the Saw movies is in there in the beginning. Just good stuff, man. It's a fun Sam Raimi movie and entertaining. But would I put it in A tier? Not quite, but maybe like top of B. Really, really entertaining stuff.
All right. What do you think, Steven?
Well,
No, you picked it. So yeah, so we're already gone through it. But I kind of think we'll leave it at the top of B, see if anything even falls to A, and if it doesn't, we may have a case to bump it up, you know. But yeah, we'll leave it there. So I think we are back to Paul. So what do you got?
I'm gonna pick Celebrity.
All right,
and you can put that in D.
Right.
I haven't seen it since the theater, but the two things I remember about it were bad things. It was when actors were being cast by Woody Allen to basically do an impersonation of him, and it was just really bizarre. And Kenneth Branagh's is one of the more bizarre out there. I mean, he does okay, but you just sit there going, he's just being Woody Allen. And it's so distracting. You know, I think Cusack had to do the same thing in Bullets Over Broadway, and there's many versions of this. And then there's just this scene where Woody has Bebe Neuwirth practice a blowjob on a banana. And it just, I just was like, this isn't even a movie anymore. This is just Woody wanting to do shit and watch it. And it's creepy. So those are the things I remember. There may have been a whole, now I remember DiCaprio came in and he kind of did what I talked about before. He kind of pulled a Defoe or did what he did in Django. He kind of comes in and his scenes are fast and funny and interesting. And he plays a hotshot celebrity, not unlike himself. And those scenes I remember being energetic and fun, but the rest of it, I just don't have good memories. I don't have a lot of memories, but the bad ones stick out.
Well, fair enough. What do you think, Chris?
I've never seen this movie. So apparently I also dodged another bullet.
Yeah, right. Well, so when I was getting ready to decide what movies I wanted to watch for this, because I haven't seen it, but I watched the trailer for it, and I was just like, "What is this? This is like really bizarre, really weird." And like, I've never been a huge Woody Allen fan. Like really the only Woody Allen movies that I've ever really enjoyed is that I love Annie Hall, and then I really like Manhattan to a point. There's some kind of weird stuff in that movie a little bit, and then also on Midnight in Paris. But besides that, I'm not really a big Woody Allen fan, so I kind of skipped it. I was like, I'll just get to it when I get to it.
There are about 10 or 12 other movies I could highly recommend that you would enjoy. Just because, again, here's a guy who makes a movie a year, and his career is so long. You should go watch Sleeper, Take the Money and Run, Bananas, et cetera, et cetera. But
okay.
But yeah,
I'm definitely open to all those.
Yeah, but Midnight in Paris is a gem.
Yeah, for sure. But Aaron, what do you think?
I also haven't seen it, but Paul, you say great things. I definitely feel like I should after your recommendation.
The glowing review.
Well, this is a movie. I remember hearing about this a long time ago, and I just remember looking it up, and this just seems like it's some sort of weird attempt at a vanity project that didn't work out. I don't know if that's a correct assessment based off what you remember, but it just, like, the whole concept of just a movie about celebrity and then casting a bunch of celebrities at the time to kind of sort of play themselves or play versions of people that he knows. It's just a weird thing that's never intrigued me to check it out.
Yeah. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch this one either, but when I heard it was a Woody Allen movie, I kind of put it at the bottom of my watch list. Like, if I got done with all my rewatches and everything, maybe I'd get around to it. But based on Paul's glowing review, I'll promptly skip it. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the guy just put out too many movies. I mean, he's put out too many, again, like Eastwood. He's put out too many movies for to have a winning streak. But, Blue Jasmine's great. Match Point is great. There's tons of good stuff in there. This isn't one of them. Sorry, Steven.
Yep.
I like a couple of his movies, but usually it's the ones that he doesn't star in that I like more than his movies. I like Blue Jasmine and Midnight in Paris.
The cool thing for me, though, is that I got to see Annie Hall when I was working in a movie theater, and they showed it in a movie theater. So my first experience for that movie was on the big screen, so that was fun. So I did really enjoy that one. But what do you think, Steven? Have you seen Celebrity?
No, I don't really have anything to say because I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I represent the group then. I'm the only one who...
Right.
We'll take your recommendation. I don't have any objection. Let's just put it that way. You got what you want, Paul.
But the cast for this is pretty stacked, though. Just looking up the cast, though, I mean, you have Winona Ryder, Charlize Theron, Kenneth Branagh, Melanie Griffith, Famke Jensen. I mean, Sam Rockwell's even in it. J.K. Simmons. I mean, Hank Azaria. I mean, we could go on and on. It's a huge cast.
Well, I was going to say, that's kind of what I was saying, though, is like when I first heard about it years ago and looked it up, and I do remember doing this, I read the cast, and then I read some of the reviews for it, and I was just like, this just seems like Woody Allen was like, I can get all these people in a movie, and then didn't really have an idea of what to do with it. And it's not like that has never happened before, because there's numerous projects in history where they've done that. It's a bunch of people in a movie, and it's like, how did this end up bad? There's no planning behind it.
Right. That's what it sounds like. So, but Chris, it's your turn. You want to pick one? What do you got?
All right. So I got to go for another movie that I absolutely hate. I realize there's a couple movies I really don't like from Leo. But is Shutter Island. I went to this movie really excited. The trailers made it look just like an awesome, like almost Alfred Hitchcock kind of thriller. And it was so boring. It was so disjointed. I just wanted the movie to end. And it was one of the movies where you sit there and you're like, okay, is this going to get better? And it did not. For that reason, it's actually, I would put it at the bottom of, at the bottom of D.
But at the bottom of D. Well,
yep.
We'll just throw it here for now, and we'll see. Well, you say bottom. We'll do it for you for now, and we'll see.
That's not going to stay
best
there.
To say. Right. Yeah, that's what I kind of thought. But yeah. So for me, like, Shutter Island is one of those movies that like started out great. Like, I absolutely love the way that it starts out, but I kind of feel like for me, like it kind of gets progressively worse for me, and I especially hate the ending of this movie. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, I could if everyone's seen it, but like the way that it ends, it's just like
It's
I don't
11 years
really
old.
like it. Right? Yeah, it's 11 years old. Well, so like at the end, you find out he's an actual patient there, and that he killed his wife and stuff, and it's just like,
what?
Like I just kind of like, what? Sorry,
dude. I mean, I know that, but you just killed it for everybody.
Oh, sorry, man. but yeah. So I mean, I think it's middle of the road. I mean, I'd give it probably a solid B. I mean, I could do that, but do you have something you want to say, Chris?
Yeah, sorry to do this to you guys, but I actually got to go.
Okay.
So sorry about that. But I didn't want to just back out the screen and like try and message you guys. I'm sorry about this. I had something come up. But guys, this has been a fun doing a rundown of Leonardo DiCaprio movies. For sure.
Thanks for being on. So yeah, appreciate it. So
all right, guys. Hey, have a good one. Bye.
Yep.
See you, Chris.
All right. So Aaron, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, it's not one of Leo's best movies. It's not one of Scorsese's best movies, but I certainly don't think it's worse than anything that's in B. I actually do enjoy the movie. I think it's one of those where it's not the best movie on a first watch, but it's one of those where it's so layered with detail that the more and more you watch it, there are little things you can pick up and notice on, especially with the twist ending that comes with it. You can kind of read into it and start to take things from it. Like there's and if I get one of the details wrong, correct me, because it's been a while since I've seen it, but there's like a scene where he's in like a cafeteria thing talking with Ruffalo and one of the inmates, and there's like a detail where every person in that scene has a guard behind them, including Leo, except for Ruffalo. And it's one of these little details that Scorsese put in throughout the film to, if you pick up on it or if you watch it and then rewatch it, there's all these little details that are very clearly indicating to the fact that no, he's definitely an inmate there, but it's not something you're obviously going to get unless you're either very attentive to those types of details or you rewatch it. But as a film, it's fine. It's kind of the same thing as Paul has said with the other, longevity filmmakers. Scorsese's getting up there. He's made a lot of films. They're not all going to be 10 out of 10s, and this one isn't, but I do think it's a very solid film.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, this is one I went back and rewatched a couple of days ago because I hadn't seen it since the theater, and I watched it definitely with different eyes, knowing the ending, and again looking out for things like that, like you talked about, Aaron, just the little details throughout the film. And when they start talking about patient 67 or whatever it is, we only have 66 people, like they drop hints very, very early of like the twist. But I mean, it's not like his greatest movie. I think Leo's still good in it. Ruffalo's good. I mean, again, everybody's good. It's a Scorsese movie. Almost everybody's going to be really solid in it. I mean, Jackie Earle Haley and Elias Koteas pop up in it as inmates, and they're pretty fun to watch. It's got a nice atmosphere, a nice look to the movie. It's good. I think it's solidly entertaining. It's not one I've gone back to a lot, obviously, because I think that it just doesn't have a lot of rewatchability. Once you kind of know what's going on, there's not a whole lot else to discover. But I still think it's a solid, it's kind of like B level, I think it's good, but yeah, nowhere near the top 10.
Yeah. What do you think, Steven?
I guess I'm in the minority because I loved it. I think it's in my personal top 10. The twist, it's obvious from the get-go that he's patient 67. I mean, I knew that just from watching the trailer. But the ending, first of all, his story is so incredibly tragic and sad. And then that last scene between him and Mark Ruffalo, when he tells him, "Is it better to live to die a hero or live as a villain?" So he knows he's not still crazy. He knows what's going on, but he wants to get that lobotomy at the end so that he can forget, which makes it the ending, I think, so much more sad. So I loved it.
Yeah.
I would personally put it in S tier, but obviously I'm so far the only person that thinks that.
Well, it might average out to maybe bump it up at least to one level. But what do you think, Paul?
I say do it. Shutter Island is a great, underseen bit of fine filmmaking from Scorsese, and it's one of the first real. Well, I mean, we've seen DiCaprio be great, but this is one of the first times you see him really mind pain. He did the same thing in another movie we'll mention later that same year, and he's good at it, man. And he's so good at it. I mean, you don't doubt for a second that everything that's happening to him is real and authentic, and I love that about him. And he just has so many chances to show that here. And we haven't even mentioned Ben Kingsley's in this, did we? I mean, there's
Ben Kingsley
great.
and Cito as the doctors.
Yeah, Patricia Clarkson's in there somewhere too. I think it's just full of good people.
Yeah,
I don't know why it came out. It came out in like February instead of like they were shied away from putting it into the Oscars. I think it might have just been too intense for the Oscars. Who are more than happy to give an Oscar to Green Book. They wouldn't give something to this. Yeah, just the nature of PSD, the nature of pain and relationships, and and he has that great drive with Ted Levine where they talk about how man is married to violence. There's just a lot going on in here. It's based on a Dennis Lehane book he made, Gone Baby Gone, right? And Mystic River, I think were his. So it comes from real good source material. I think it's a high pedigree project all around that it's a shame it didn't get more love when it came out awards wise.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid enough argument for A tier at least, because we had some really strong arguments and then some kind of middling arguments. I think A tier is fair.
And Chris is gone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Chris is gone. It's definitely not D tier. I think we all agreed on that. It's not a D movie. It's not in there with J. Edgar and celebrity. No.
Well, I would even say that there's a case to be made that's better than The Aviator. So I mean, by that stance, it could go into S tier for me. I mean, that's just me kind of thinking.
To me, it's better than The Aviator, but I hate The Aviator.
Yeah, true. But I mean, I'm gonna leave it there, and we'll talk about it later. So, but
it's your turn, Jordan.
It's my turn. So, yep. So since he's out,
sorry, Jordan, I'm kind of taking over the co-hosting duties like I usually do when Chris isn't here. So, I'll help.
No, you're
you
good. It always helps to have like someone to like keep me in line and say like who's up next and whatnot. So I'm gonna go with Inception though. So I think we're gonna talk some Chris Nolan, and I absolutely love Inception. It's a movie that really gets you thinking more than any of these other movies, and the special effects are just incredible. The cast, the soundtrack, it's iconic with the whole horn scene where they're going off that bridge in slow motion, and the ending even gets you to really think hard about what's really happening, what's going on. And it's one that some people, they even see it and they don't even understand it, and so they have to see it a second time. Because I remember when I saw it the first time, the girl that I was dating, she hated it and I loved it, and she's like, well, I hate it because I had no clue what was even happening the whole time, no idea. And so
she should see Tenet. She'll have a lot of fun with that movie.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yep. So
if she thought Inception was confusing, boy, have I got a movie for her.
Right. Yeah. So those Chris Nolan movies, he likes to throw you for a loop there, but I think that it's great though. I absolutely love it though. The special effects are outstanding. Just I mean, just everything. The cinema photography, all of it. So for me, I'd rank it high. It's definitely an S tier for me. And I'd probably put it just under Wolf of Wall Street. That's my thought. But we'll see what you guys think. What do you think, Aaron?
And Paul kind of alluded to it there at the end of his thing about Shutter Island. Part of the reason I don't think, especially with the list, with Leo, Shutter Island is an S tier is because, kind of funny enough, Leo's performance in this and his character in this, just without the extreme horror style psychological element to it, is playing a very similar character in Inception, and I think this is a much better done version of it. I think the film overall is brilliant. If it's not Nolan's best, then it's top 2. I think it's well written. I think, and I'm someone who really likes Tenet, but I agree with that thing of Tenet is trying to do a similar thing, but it seems like it's kind of less thought out at times. This is incredibly well thought out on every level. If you're paying attention, it does explain everything to you so that you can understand it, which is a great element in a film. And I think it's got an incredible ensemble that really contribute. You know, even though the one criticism I'd have of it is the characters in this compared to other films are lacking extreme depth, they all bring something to the table, and they are entertaining to watch, whether it's Hardy, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Cillian Murphy, the whole cast. I think they do. Michael Caine for his little bit. They all bring the best that they can to it and make it not just an entertaining popcorn film, but something that has a bit of a deeper element. And then, of course, you know, at the end, Leo acting off of Marion Cotillard and kind of the conclusion to their storyline together that leads into this, you know, little bit of a twist ending, indecisive ending, is all really, really well done. Some of the best acting in his career, I think.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, Aaron kind of stole what I was going to say about his character in Inception, doing, I think, a better job of doing that story of dealing with the death of his wife and the mourning and the confusion and the feelings that he has about it. I mean, that scene when the flashback when she jumps off the building and just his emotions of that scene, I think he's brilliant in that scene. And I think it's even better than the stuff in Shutter Island, which is why I would definitely put it above Shutter Island at least. But yeah, like the movie overall is awesome. I mean, it's really rewatchable. You get something out of it every time you watch it. It looks great. The supporting cast, yeah, like we talked about, everybody's fantastic. It was kind of the movie where he stood up and noticed Tom Hardy for the first time, and he's really good. But yeah, like I think his characterization is what steals it. And yeah, I love Inception. I think it definitely deserved to be in the top 10 of this list for sure.
Yeah. What do you think, Steven?
I mean, I don't love the movie as much as most, but it's still definitely S. I mean, as far as Nolan goes, I don't think Nolan's made a single bad movie anyways. And I do think DiCaprio was excellent in the movie, and that scene, the aforementioned scene with Marion Cotillard is definitely a very devastating scene. And I like the layers, you know, dream and time that the movie plays with, and I also, and that final shot, you know, with his thing, whether or not you get stop or not. I mean, I think it's one of the best. One of the best of those kind of endings that you let you decide.
An ambiguous ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you decide how,
sure.
like what really happened. Right.
Yeah.
I love that. So, what do you think, Paul?
Yeah, this is my number 2 overall behind Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's imagine coming up with this story and then being able to pull it off. Both are insane, and the fact that he did it both on such a high level is super impressive. And I think, yeah, the Cobb-Mal relationship is the core of everything. It's deeply emotional, and it's deeply painful, and it changes from one minute to the next. And it's, you know, it is what all the best dramas could be called: complicated. It's an action movie. It's a drama. It's a sci-fi movie. It's everything for everybody. It's high on my list. The only one I want to go off on forever is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I got to keep it briefer from here. We'll never get out of here. So
right.
That's it for me. But concur on a lot of points. It's definitely S.
Well, our list is coming together, so we're getting there.
Yeah.
So so Paul, I know you gonna be out by 4, so like I'm just kind of calling this kind of like the like final wheel round, give the wheel a final spin. So basically we're just shooting for the S tier. If there's anything that you got that you think belonged in the S tier, then that's kind of what we're gonna shoot for. So it's Aaron's turn. You got anything? What do you think?
Yeah, What's Eating Gilbert Grape? To deliver a performance like that at such a young age is incredible, and it's actually a movie that I rewatched recently in a very particular context, because for anyone who didn't know, and obviously quality wise they're 2 different films, but earlier this year there was that internet outrage with I forget the name of it, but that Sia movie that came out where she cast Maddie Ziegler as an autistic character, and there was this huge internet spark of like, well, is it right to cast actors who aren't autistic as autistic characters? And I can see both sides of the argument. What's Eating Gilbert Grape and DiCaprio's performance in it, and again, when you put it all of it in the context of him literally basically being a kid at that point, it is such a well-researched, respectful interpretation of what this character is going for that I think if the debate is whether or not people who are not disabled in that type of way should be allowed to do these types of performances, this is one of the few performances that I think would still fly in the modern day because it's not offensive in any sort of way while still being a completely true and real performance of somebody on the outside interpreting what that would be like. And again, you have to put his age into it. Like, I mean, this was so early in his career. He was the kid who was shoved on a growing pains for 15 episodes. And, like, he pulled this out. That is such an incredible thing to do at that age. I mean, shit, he accomplished more than me at my age. With it's impressive.
Yeah, totally. What do you think, Austin, for Gilbert Grape?
Yeah, this is one I hadn't seen until about 2 weeks ago when I kind of started my research. I started off with Gilbert Grape because I just hadn't ever gotten around to it. And it's fine. I think the movie's okay. I did not find it super compelling. I thought it was an okay sort of family drama, coming of age type thing. But I think there's way better movies than that out there. To put it in the same level as like The Revenant and The Wolf of Wall Street, Django Unchained, I think is a little silly, just to be honest. And just on a personal level, like I thought Leo was okay, but man, his character like started to annoy me. Like, and this might sound blasphemous, but when Johnny Depp kind of smacks him up in the bathroom, not that I condone that, but I totally understood why he did it. Because dude, I might have done that too. And I'm sorry. I know that's mean, but man, dude, like when he's just screaming and yelling the whole movie, and he keeps climbing up the tower, like I probably would have done something to him too, to be honest. So I'm not trying to be mean, but Gilbert Grape is all right. It's okay. To me, it's like a B or C level. I don't think it's one of the best Leo movies, and I don't think it deserves to be in the same tier as those other ones. Just me personally.
Right. What do you think, Steven?
There are a few movies that I meant to see for tonight that unfortunately I didn't get to, and this is one of them because it is on Netflix right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to. Let's not recommend checking it out, but Rugged might take in a minute. What do you think, Paul?
I love this movie. It's in my top 10, so I go S tier with it. DiCaprio's performance is great, and what company to keep. What a year for supporting actors. 93 was. Tommy Lee Jones won the Oscar, but you also had Ralph Fiennes in Schindler's List. You had Pete Postlethwaite in the Name of the Father, and John Malkovich in The Line of Fire. I mean, it was just loaded, and he was right up in there, and he was really great.
Was he nominated for this movie? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you. Was he?
Yes.
Correctamundo.
And who won again? I can't even remember.
Tommy Lee Jones.
For the right. Okay. I don't think that performance is on the same level as like Ralph Fiennes in Schindler's List or Tommy Lee Jones. To me personally, I thought it was a fine child performance, but I don't think it's in that same level. I think it's.
I think Ralph Fiennes' performance is not on the level of anybody else he was nominated against. Like that's just insane. That's an insanely good performance. But this movie was around the early 90s. Hollywood was loving to tell quirky stories about quirky people and just chuck your movie full of nutbags and let the story unfold. And this was one of those, but it was one of the higher tier, one of those. Lasse Hallström had a run on those type of movies as a director. My Life as a Dog, Chocolat, Once Around, I think he made, right? And Cider House Rules eventually. So, I enjoy this movie quite a lot. It makes me laugh. It's heartwarming. There's, and I think you're supposed to want to be Johnny Depp and smack the kid. Right? You got to feel like his. I mean, that's the thing about What's Eating Gilbert Grape. His family, his life.
No, I was totally in with Johnny Depp's performance. Yeah. Like I followed it. Like he was the most compelling thing about it was his story. Like he's being pulled in like 20 different directions in that movie, trying to take care of this family and be like the head of the household. You know what I mean? Like, but I kind of threw me off in the beginning when he goes to Mary Steenburgen's house and she's just like his FWB. Like, okay, that was odd. It threw me off, but I was like, all right. And everybody's just trying to jump his bones throughout that movie. It was a little strange, but I was more compelled with his story than Leo's. I'll just put it that way. I was way more into Johnny Depp's story.
Yeah. Well, it's his movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, I think Leonardo DiCaprio's kind of playing like a mentally like a guy with some mental issues, right? So he's kind of like but he does it well, and he does it so well that like you actually like want to smack him around. You're just kind of like because the performance is actually that good, and like the first time I ever saw this, I don't know why, but I watched it when I was in high school, actually in class. So I don't know if it like relates to some kind of like book or like some kind of literary thing. I'm not totally sure, but we watched it there, and I remember that I enjoyed it. I don't know if I would go as high to put it in S tier. I'd probably give it I don't know, like an A, like maybe even a B. But I mean, I think probably like a good average would probably be A. I think that sounds kind of solid, and it may get bumped up if we don't have anything better on the list, but I think we do. But we can kind of see what else we got here. So I'm going to throw it over to Austin. And
I think a movie that's way better than Gilbert Grape is Gangs of New York, for sure.
All right.
better acted, better directed, better production design. Performance from Daniel Day-Lewis, who's always amazing. My personal favorite character of his is Bill the Butcher, and he just steals every scene he's in. He's mesmerizing. I think this was the first movie where I really took notice of Leo kind of breaking out of that 90s sort of pretty boy thing, and he's playing kind of a really scruffy, this Irish character, Valen, and he does a solid accent in the movie. He's good. The only reason the movie doesn't get to the same levels for me as like Django Unchained or Wolf of Wall Street is because of Cameron Diaz, and she's horrible in the movie. Like she pulls that movie down significantly, and I like Cameron Diaz, but I think everything else in this movie is like S tier stuff. Like it's super, super compelling the way he sets up the gangs and sets up this world. Just extremely, extremely entertaining, very funny at times, and then very tragic at times. Gangs of New York it's one of my personal favorite movies. I love Gangs of New York, but I may be alone in that. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, let's see what everyone thinks. What do you think, Steven?
Gangs of New York is in my top 10 too. I think it belongs.
Yeah, do you have anything else that we really like about it, or?
I just love those big epic movies, and Gangs of New York certainly is in that kind of movie.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Paul? I think I give it an A, but I wouldn't argue an S. It's a great film. You think it's a little over the top till you read the history and you go, oh, nope.
No, it's right there with what happened. Yeah, for sure.
It's great performances from Brendan Gleeson and DiCaprio. But man, Daniel Day-Lewis, that is some show he puts on, and it's just something to watch. I mean, come for that, stay for the rest of the movie. But and DiCaprio's in there too. When he's in it, and it's not the best part, it's just something crazy going on. Mm-hmm. But that's how good Daniel Day-Lewis is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. And for me, like, I never really understood the hate for Gangs of New York. I just hear a lot of people saying like it's not really that great. Like, I thought that it was great. Like, I love Gangs of New York, and like not really too much else you can say about Daniel Day-Lewis's performance. It's just like the best in the movie, and maybe one of the best out of his performances he's ever given. Maybe, I mean, there's some arguments to be had there, but I mean, and you have a solid supporting cast. I mean. Cameron Diaz aside, because she is terrible in it, but I mean, you have Liam Neeson. I mean, John C. Reilly's in there, Brendan Gleeson, and I think you even see Henry Thomas pop up a little bit in that movie too.
He pops up. John C. Reilly is like a cop in that movie. He's great. It's got a lot of really cool character actors that pop up throughout the movie. Like some really
for
cool
sure.
Even Liam Neeson is in the opening scene. He plays the guy that Bill the Butcher is like feuding with, Priest Valen, and he gets bumped off, in the opening scene, but like he stands out and you remember him. He's great.
Yeah, right. For me, like I'd put it as a solid S tier. I mean, I probably wouldn't put it above some of these on here, but I mean, I would even put it probably even above Shutter Island for me. So that's kind of where
it's above Shutter Island for me.
So yeah, but
Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah, what do you think?
I think it's fine. To me, this is a case of, I think the movie itself is really, really good. I wouldn't put the movie in S tier personally. It's probably more A, but I think it's a case of Daniel Day-Lewis singularly is so great in this film that it kind of domineers it. And that's not a bad thing because Daniel Day-Lewis is a great actor. But if I'm looking at the movie overall, it's not S for me personally. But it is, I mean, like, it's better than Shutter Island, which I also wouldn't put as an S. So, you know.
Right.
It's good. It's good. It's just when you're coming down to, like, having to rank it like that, it's like, for me, it's good, but it's not quite there.
Well, I've heard a couple of cases for S, some for A. I mean, I kind of think that we've had a couple people say that's better than Shutter Island, maybe, but I'm going to leave it maybe just where it's at for now. We'll kind of talk about the final ranking in a minute. So yeah, we'll throw it over to Steven. You got anything that you think could possibly be A tier?
There are 2 S-worthy titles left for me, but I'll go with my number 1.
You meant to say S, yeah.
Which I'll go with my number 1, which is The Departed.
All right, yeah, definitely. So you say S tier for sure. All right, let's go around the horn. What do you think, Paul, for The Departed?
Great movie. I mean, just a crazy movie. Like the fact that anyone would be that committed to their undercover role is something to watch. And, I wish this was Nicholson's last movie. Unfortunately, he made How Do You Know? And now he needs to come back and do another one because he owes us. I mean, so full of good actors. I mean, Alec Baldwin's great in this movie. Wahlberg gives one of his best performances. It's fantastic. It's shocking. It's got some classic legendary scenes like the cast busting interrogation scene. It's just great. I love it.
Yeah, same here. Like I love The Departed. There's so many great scenes, a great cast. Just like the Jack Nicholson kind of plays like a Whitey Bulger type character that's like just really just menacing, just a great villain. And so yeah, I mean, I think that like all the way around, it's a super solid movie. I would put it in the S tier for sure. I don't know if I'd go top of S tier, but I'd go like middle of S. I mean, it's still a great movie. So yeah. What do you think, Aaron?
Oh, also, if I don't go pee now, I'm gonna die.
Go ahead.
Sure, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah, what do you think, Aaron?
I love this movie. This one for me is like dominantly over the other 2 that I've seen between DiCaprio and Scorsese. It's this or Wolf of Wall Street that I think is their best collaboration. It's got it's kind of funny because we just talked about Gangs of New York, right? Which I said is a solid film with a great ensemble that gets overpowered by a performance. This is an example of a film where I think it's another great ensemble piece with a ton of great performances, but I don't actually think any of the actual stars in it start to overpower the other at one point. I think they all balance out equally, which is why I love it. Everyone gets their moment to shine and really stand out. And yeah, I mean, you have tons of people in here, whether it be DiCaprio, Damon, Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Alec Baldwin, and that's not even the half of it.
Farmiga, who we didn't even mention. She's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
such
right.
a great cast, and all of them are doing it. And I think the craziest fact is when people find out it's a remake. Like, you wouldn't expect a movie with this much energy behind it, and especially one made by Scorsese, who has, especially in recent years, been so anti-franchise, anti-all this, to have a remake in his filmography. And it's not the first one, obviously, but it's a great film. It's a great ensemble piece where everybody brings their top game, but nobody's overshadowing the movie. They all get in there and get to have their moments. I love it. It's a great film.
Yeah, and you kind of forget about some of the cast that's in there because the cast is so stacked. I mean, even Martin Sheen shows up, Alec Baldwin, Ray Winstone, like some of those guys show up. So yeah, I would agree with all of that. But what do you think, Austin?
Yeah, this is one I'm glad I got a chance to rewatch it before because I don't think I'd seen it since the theater, and I really liked it when I saw it in the theater, but I hadn't gone back to it. And man, I forgot how good this movie was. Yeah, it's really, really good. I think it definitely deserves to be up there for sure. I really enjoyed the cat and mouse game between like the kind of the three-way dance that Matt Damon and Leo and Jack Nicholson are all playing in that, trying not to reveal who the rat is to each other and all kinds of stuff, and the games they're playing there. And Mark Wahlberg is just so brash, but so I think it's one of his best performances. If we were talking about Wahlberg movies, like he would be up there. I think he's great. He almost steals the movie for me. But yeah, like really good Boston pacing, really solid stuff. Yeah, man. I mean, he's perfect because it's a Boston movie. So I mean, all these guys are doing their Boston. You know, Matt Damon and Wahlberg, especially, of course, it's what they do best. But yeah, I think it deserves to be up there. Departed is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we'll throw it over to Paul now. You can pick.
You got one last Hail Mary, Paul, just like we did for Spielberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I got one more that I would put in the S tier, it would be Blood Diamond.
All right. I know that's there you go.
First one.
Yeah.
It's just a brutal, hard movie, but Edward Zwick directing in one of his best forms, like he was in Glory and some other films. A little more pared down from Glory, of course, had that sweeping James Horner score. Blood Diamond's more pared down than that. It's not making anything fun or glamorous. Djimon Hounsou's performance is fantastic. DiCaprio's great. I'd never heard about all of the child labor to mine diamonds in Africa until this movie, and it sparked me to look up more. And much like what we were just talking about, Gangs of New York, much like that it was like, oh well, this is real too, and
it's actually happened.
Yeah, and it's a hard, good, just a solid drama movie. I thought it was great and full of suspense and tension, and I loved it.
Yeah, I would echo everything that you said, because I actually just watched this for the first time yesterday to prepare for this, and I was blown away. Like, I thought that it was an amazing movie. Just all the like craziness that you find out about these diamond mines, and like how everyone wants to get their hands on it. They want to try to escape the life that they're in, especially Leonardo DiCaprio. He's just trying to get out of there and get himself to a better life. And then you have Jennifer Connelly kind of helping him out a little bit, and then the performance of Djimon Hounsou is just like incredible. Like might be the best of his career, maybe. Like it just blew me away. So yeah, I would say S tier for sure. I mean, I don't know if it would go at the top, but I think that it definitely probably deserves an S tier for me. It's one that I was surprised because I'd heard kind of mixed things about it, but like I was pleasantly surprised when I watched it. So, what do you think, Aaron?
The movie as a whole, I think, is very mixed, but the performances specifically from DiCaprio and Djimon Hounsou are respectively some of the best of their careers. They are, and I don't know if it was, I don't know what it is. I can't like put it to words, like what doesn't completely click about the rest of the film, but it's not like it's a tank film that they saved. It's a very solid film and that they elevate to one of those higher levels. I mean, if we're analyzing, and again, I haven't seen The Aviator, and I know he was nominated for it, but out of all the performances he was nominated for, I think there's a very solid argument that this is probably the one he should have won for first. He's great in this movie, and his chemistry with Djimon, and yeah, the fact that, because I think it was this and Hotel Rwanda came out roughly within a couple of years of each other, and it's learning these true stories of these just incredibly horrific things that are happening in other countries is insane. Yeah, I can see the argument for it being up there. I think it's better than some of the films that are already in there, certainly. So yeah.
Yeah, man, Africa is no joke. There's some crazy stuff going on over there. Like it's just crazy to think about. But what do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I'm kind of similar to Aaron. It's good. I just don't think it quite reaches that great like S level type of stuff. Just for me personally, yeah, there's something that just doesn't click totally with me about it. And I know the performances are good, the writing is good. To me, there's just something that I didn't get very emotionally attached to the movie. It was kind of flawed. It felt a little bit disjointed here and there. Again, it's hard to put into words, but I just don't think it's on the same level as like a Departed or Gangs of New York, or definitely not like Wolf of Wall Street or anything like that. But I don't have a whole lot of arguments against it being ARS, if that makes any sense. Like, it's a really good movie, but it's hard to put into words like why it's not a great movie for me. I probably need to go back and rewatch it because I haven't seen it in a little bit, but I just don't remember a whole ton about it. But I remember the performances being good, but I liked it. Just don't love it.
Well, what do you think, Steven?
I wanted to love this movie because I'm a big Ed Zwick fan, and Djimon Hounsou, it probably does give the best performance in the movie. Although I wouldn't say it's his best performance because I think he was better in Amistad. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good movie. I just didn't think it was quite great.
Yeah, right. Well, I feel like we had a few solid arguments for S, a few for kind of A, B. So I think probably like a high A, like
a top of A is fair.
Yeah, that sounds fair. So I'm gonna give it one last Hail Mary. I'm gonna give my last pick, and I got to go with Catch Me If You Can for my last. So this is one of my top 5 Steven Spielberg movies. Like I absolutely love it, and Steven Spielberg has some great movies, but I love Catch Me If You Can. I just love the charisma from Leonardo DiCaprio, and the fact that this whole thing is a true story, that they deceived all these people, and he had all these different jobs. He worked in the airline industry. He worked as a doctor. He worked as all these different things, and then having Tom Hanks thrown in there as the guy trying to just catch this guy, and even have some other performances from like a Christopher Walken plays his dad in it, it was a movie that's just a fun ride from beginning to end, and so I would definitely put it in like probably like the middle of the S tier. So I mean somewhere up there near The Departed for me. So that's where I would put it. But what do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, I think it's a great film with 2 great leads at the head of it. Again, it's kind of the same case that I would make for the other 2 that are an A as well. Like, it's not one of his best, but it certainly is a top. Like, it's not top 5, but it's certainly up there in the argument for it. And I like it again more than some of the movies that are already in that S tier. Can we also just talk about Steven Spielberg? I think he might be the only director that can make 2 incredible films in the same year. Not that he hasn't done it multiple times, but this is another one where he did Catch Me If You Can and then Minority Report within the same year. And that's incredible. Like, to have that amount of mastery over a craft, that you can do that multiple times throughout your career, whether it be Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. Even more recently, like, neither of these films are the top of Spielberg, I would say, but to make The Post and then Ready Player One within the same year, I think those are still 2 really good films. Not many directors could pull that type of feat off, and Spielberg's the master at it. But yeah, great film.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Austin?
Well, if you want to hear how much Paul likes The Post, go watch our Spielberg tier ranker fights.
Gonna say
he's the one who loves that movie.
I'm glad.
Leo,
I think it's great.
Yeah. You're right there with Paul. But no, Leo had a good 2002, man, because he had this in Gangs of New York, and we talked about Catch Me If You Can a lot on the Spielberg episode, and how it's one of the kind of hidden gems of the early 2000s that a lot of people don't show love to, but it's super entertaining, really, really good. I think it's definitely better than The Aviator and Shutter Island. I think it's way more entertaining and watchable than those movies, just me personally. But I think it definitely deserves love. I think we had it in our top 10 for the Spielberg show, and deservedly so. And it definitely needs to get some love on this show for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. What do you think, Steven? Yeah,
this was another one that I said that there were 2 left, and I love the surrogate father-son relationship that develops between Tom Hanks and DiCaprio, and it's just a really hugely enjoyable, great true story.
Yeah, right. And Paul, what do you think?
All the above, plus John Williams, off the beaten path for him, but great score.
Yes.
I need to see this movie again. I only saw it the one time in the theater, and I have it sitting around here on disc. I should pop it in sometime and check it out again because I remember it being fun and light and frothy, and and talk about guys who do the same thing twice in 1 year. This is the same year Hanks was in Road to Perdition. If you want to know how good he is,
And DiCaprio, Gangs of New York.
Yeah, but for some reason I remember Road to Perdition more than this one, so I got to go check this movie out again. But I have no problem with it being highly ranked from my memory of it.
Yeah, and as a Leonardo DiCaprio movie, I think he kind of outshines Tom Hanks in this, which is hard to do. So I mean, yeah. So, but I'm just gonna say at this point, if you're gonna jump out, Paul, that's totally fine. But we're gonna kind of do a final ranking. So I mean, you're welcome to join us. But if you gotta go, that's either way. But and then I'm just gonna kind of open it up. If anyone thinks that there's any of the movies left that deserve an S tier, you can just shout it out now, and we can throw it up there. But
Revolutionary Road is good, but it's like a B level movie. Good performances, depressing movie.
Yeah, right.
the beach stinks. I watched it again.
Yeah.
Not good.
If we're doing worst, the beach is, in my opinion, his worst.
Yeah. I never heard of Don's Plum. I don't even know what that is. I just put
both of Baz Luhrmann's are style over substance. I don't think there's a lot there with either of those.
I liked Romeo and Juliet. I don't think it's great, but it's good.
But that's what I mean, though, is it's all in its style, right? Like just everything he does with the camera or the whole, modern day, but they're speaking in dialogue. I have my sword, show the gun brand being sword. Like, it's all style.
I think that's all D tier for me. Yeah.
Well, it helps that he's got Claire Danes with him, and I absolutely love Claire Danes.
But,
one of the funny things,
all the best ones are on there.
Yeah. Romeo and
Juliet,
though, like one of the funny things is that the first time I saw it was in a high school class, and I didn't realize there was nudity in the movie. So when that popped up, we're kind of like, whoa, like just to show a bunch of high school kids. So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, so basically, want to have a top 10 with 3 honorable mentions. So we kind of got to rank it, which might be a little bit of a tough one. I mean, there's the case to have one of these 3. I think as a number 1, I don't know. I kind of feel like we made a solid case for either Wolf of Wall Street or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I mean,
you just moved him, but if you had Once, Inception, Wolf, that's my top 3. So knowing that, go for it.
Well, that's your top 3. I kind of think that I mean, I would put Wolf at 1, but what do you guys think? Like, is there any other?
For my taste, I'd probably put them Inception, Hollywood, Wolf.
Okay. What do you think, Steven?
But I think any way they fall, that's the top 3.
Right.
I mean, are you asking which one of those 3?
Oh yeah, for the number 1, what would you put for number 1 if you had to choose? Because you're kind of gonna might be the tiebreaker.
Well, if you're talking about specifically those 3, it doesn't really matter to me. Those 3 are pretty much neck and neck.
Well, I mean,
what would be your number 1 then? So to put your opinion in there.
Well, my number 1 was The Departed.
Well, that could be a solid maybe 4th pick. I kind of feel like, but I mean,
mine goes Wolf, Django, and probably Inception.
And we got Django there, so I kind of feel like we've got a couple for the Wolf of Wall Street versus anybody else. So I kind of feel like we kind of maybe need to put that one at number 1 just because we have 2 of us saying that, and then maybe we can keep like Hollywood, and then
I just got a text from Chris. He said Hollywood is his number 1.
Oh, right. Yeah,
right.
You guys text like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But like from there, though, I mean, I don't know if you really have any preference. I am not a Titanic fan, so I'd throw that lower. But that's just me.
So can we get one thing out of the way?
Wait, let me knowing where you guys are now. Sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna scoot, but those are good. that's a decent top 10. You got 8 of them right. Okay, bye.
All right, perfect.
Good seeing you.
All right, we'll see you later,
I
Paul.
look
Thanks
forward to
again for
seeing the
being
final
on.
results online.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I was gonna say is because I still, and if you guys disagree with me, I won't even try. Like if there's just a general disagreement, I think Gilbert Grape does belong on that list. But right now there's 11 films in S. Can we just all agree Shutter Island is the one that needs to get dropped?
Yeah, Shutter Island, drop it. Well, I mean, personally, I would drop the Aviator, but because I think Aviator stinks. But like
I've never seen it, so I can't judge it.
I was in the minority on that one, though. To be fair.
Well, I would even drop Aviator, but I've only seen the first scene, so I can't. It's hard for me to really say. So I've seen like the first 5 minutes. So I mean, but
I prefer Shutter. I prefer Shutter to Aviator, and same with Gangs in New York is better than Aviator and Shutter Island.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like we could go either way. I mean, maybe we should bring Shutter Island just because I feel like maybe not enough of us have seen Aviator to really be super fair to it. But we've got to put Aviator at the bottom for that reason. I kind of feel like at the bottom of it.
So then, and again, if you guys outfight me, that's fine. I think Aviator should flip off for Gilbert Grape.
I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with that. Sure. Yeah, that's totally fair.
I'd rather watch Gilbert Grape than watch Aviator again. That's for damn sure.
Because, and actually, I do understand all your criticisms with it, Austin. I do, but I think if we're talking about performance, and again, I get the part about being annoyed by the character because I don't think the way they're writing the character, you're meant to empathize with Johnny Depp. And if a person was in that situation that Johnny Depp's in, where you have all this responsibility, and then on top of that, you have somebody like DiCaprio's character, I understand that that's a stress that builds, and you're not always going to play it the safest way in terms of portraying it on screen. But the realism in all of that is what I love about the performance, and the fact that he can make you feel that way, and he's not endearing, I think even is a further testament to how good he is. That's why I believe it belongs there.
No, I hate The Aviator. I'd rather watch Gilbert Grape, so it deserves to be an S tier.
Yeah, I mean,
so I'd rather put that in the top 10 because I hate that movie.
So, all right, so then
I'm fine with it because, look, I kind of feel like Gilbert Grape's kind of different than the rest. It's kind of like a family drama dealing with family.
I think it deserves, as far as just the diversity of the performances. It deserves to be mentioned because it's definitely his best earliest performance, as a kid. You know what I mean? Or as a teenager, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But it's the thing that put him on the map before Titanic. So, yeah, I think it deserves at least a mention. Yeah. So I mean, but as far as the rest of them, I mean, I understand people love Titanic, so I'm okay in having. I think I'm just kind of the outlier that just really doesn't like it. That just was bored by it. But would you be okay maybe moving the Revenant over Titanic? I mean, no, I put Titanic over Revenant. I'd rather rewatch Titanic than Revenant.
I was going to suggest dropping Revenant towards the bottom of the top 10.
Yeah,
I think Gangs of New York is better than Revenant, but that's just me.
We could do that. I mean, I'm not super high on the Revenant. I just think that it's a fun movie to look at. All the cinematography. That's the main reason why I watch it. So
I mean, for my own taste, I'd put Revenant at 10. Gilbert Grape at 9.
I don't know if
because here's better than my argument with it is it is a good film and it is one of his best films. But the fact of the matter is, I think every other performance he was nominated for was better. I think Revenant was good, but I think at that point, more of the pressure is on how is he not won yet than it is specifically that performance.
Well, I get why he won though for the Revenant because it is a very physically demanding role.
Yeah.
Oh, I do get it. I'm just saying I think a lot of it did have to do with how is he not won yet. Because I think if you go and ask most people, if we're just talking about performance and then taking the film as a whole in general, Wall Street's better. Blood Diamond is debatable. Most people would probably say general opinion, Aviator's better. Most people would say Gilbert Grape's better.
Yeah, I just can't say when he deserves to win before because you have to you have to compare it to whoever won that year.
Oh yeah, you're right about that. I'm just saying for the list. That's just my taste.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I think on the whole, The Revenant is a better film than Gilbert Grape.
Look, I just think
I'm sorry, like I don't think there's
You can go
anything
either
about
way.
Gilbert Grape that really stands out other than
No,
I think some
not for me.
okay performances. Like I'm sorry, Tom Hardy's better than anybody in Gilbert Grape in that movie.
Yeah. Like Tom
And the
Hardy
movie is
speaks
cinematography.
in the whole-
There's nothing about the cinematography
entire
of
movie
Gilbert
is
Grape that
great.
stands out. It just looks like a movie. I'm sorry. There's nothing about that movie that makes it as a piece of filmmaking that makes it better. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's Gilbert Grape deserves to be in there because of its significance in Leo's career. But to say it's a better film than any of those other movies, no, it's at the bottom of the list at least.
Yeah,
bottom of the 10.
And also, if we're just talking Leonardo DiCaprio's performance in it, I think even in The Revenant, it's a better performance too. So that's just me. So, but
just because it's a muted physical performance doesn't mean it's worse than any of the other ones. Like he's great.
Yeah,
like he does so much acting with his eyes.
I'm not saying he's not great. I think for my own taste, I think it is the lesser of.
Yeah,
but it's still great.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's why it deserves a spot in S tier. Just not.
It's not like. It's not like when Pacino won for Scent of a Woman, and everyone, definitely because he hadn't won an Oscar.
How does Pacino win for Scent of a Woman but doesn't win for Godfather 2? Like that's stupid.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. That's just silly. Or Serpico, which are just better performances. That's or Dog Day Afternoon. Any number of performances that came 10, 15, 20 years before. Yeah, but that's a whole nother topic for another day. But yeah,
right. But
with those, we call them career Oscars without being lifetime achievement awards, where it's like, oh yeah, we'll give Ennio Morricone the thing for The Hateful Eight, and as much as I love the score to that movie, he should have won 30 years earlier for other movies. That's just like, oh, you're getting old, and we need to give you an Oscar.
Right. Well, so I'm just curious. So what's everyone's number one movie on here, just to make sure that we have this ranked right? So
we know Paul was Hollywood, right? Paul was Hollywood for sure.
Hollywood.
Yeah. Okay, Aaron, what was yours? What was your number one?
Mine's Inception.
Okay.
And Steven, yours was The Departed?
Yes.
And mine was Wolf. So we got 2 votes for Wolf. So Wolf was number one by default.
We got 2 votes. Yeah. So the Wolf goes number one. So that's number one. And then everyone else has their solidly. I mean, it's really debatable how we really rank them. But
I think we've all agreed that that top 10 is really indicative of the best of Leo's career for sure. You can look at that and be that's his career in a nutshell, right there. All great stuff.
Yeah. Again, just this is me putting my own personal taste out there. I'd flip Departed and Django, and then I'd flip Titanic and Catch Me If You Can.
Nah.
But that's me.
I'd be okay to flip Titanic and Catch Me If You Can. I'd do that too. I think Catch Me If You Can is way better than Titanic for me. But that's just me. But what do you guys think?
Titanic's over Catch. Titanic's over Catch. I'm a big Cameron fan. I'm a Cameron mark.
Okay.
Yeah. I appreciate the filming, especially in the last hour and a half. As entertaining as Catch is, it's a breezy watch, but I don't think it's one of the most masterful films, one of the greatest popcorn movies, epics ever. Titanic is.
What do you think, Steven? Would you pick Titanic over Catch Me If You Can, or do you have a preference?
I mean, I love both movies. I do think Titanic is probably a little bit better than Catch Me If You Can.
Okay. Well, I can kind of see it because, I just got to keep going back to the fact that, for as much as I dislike Titanic, I can understand, very easily why people love Titanic and think it's great. So I mean, for me, I think this is a solid list, just exactly how it is.
It's fine.
So I think it's perfect. So
there's only one movie here I haven't seen, so.
Yeah, right. Well, it's pretty good then. I mean, I think I've seen it. Every single one except for I have not seen the Aviator, but I mean, okay with having it as honorable mention. So But yeah, so
yeah, I mean, the rest of that list, there was nothing that like I think you could, even like I think the best movie still on the list was probably Revolutionary Road, but it's not like an A-level movie. Like I think there's good performances, but it's very depressing to watch, and it's actually almost the same movie as Marriage Story, which just came out recently, the Scarlett Johansson Adam Driver movie. It's almost the same movie. Like it's just a couple of like husband and wife just yelling at each other the entire movie. So like they're very good, but there's not a super compelling story in there. But yeah, I couldn't make it for anything else.
Revolutionary Road is one of those movies I wish I could have seen for this because I love Sam Mendes, but I didn't get to see it before.
It's worth watching. It's definitely worth a watch, but you're not going to want to watch it more than one time, just in my opinion.
And also, I'm a huge basketball fan, so I actually couldn't find Basketball Diaries anywhere, so I bought it. And like I was kind of
hard to find, really hard to find. I wanted to watch it for it, but I couldn't find it on streaming service. I was kind of disappointed
though. Like you're not really missing much. Like it's a really weird movie, and the way that it's paced is like weird, and like just like the whole plot of it's kind of like kind of jumbled. Like I didn't really even like it that much.
Hey, just for fun. Just for fun, can we put the beach in the D level just for fun? Just to get it on there.
Yeah, I could do that.
Because it's like I watched it. I had to buy it's another one hard to find. I had to watch a used DVD of it that I bought online, and you keep waiting for something to happen, and then nothing happens for 2 hours, and then it just dies.
I forget which one, but it's either on Stars or Cinemax, and if you get the channel on Amazon Prime or something.
Right. Right. But even Danny Boyle has said he hates his own movie, so he doesn't even want to talk about it. So it's bad.
But have any of you guys ever even seen Don's Plum? I've never even heard of it. I just put it on.
I don't know what that is. Haven't seen.
Yeah, so just haven't seen. I'll just throw it there. But the rest we don't really need to get into.
I wanted to rewatch. I have a Blu-ray sitting over there of Man in the Iron Mask. I wanted to revisit it because I haven't seen it since the theater. But
I actually like that movie.
I wanted to see it. I can't really give an opinion because I didn't get a chance to rewatch it.
I liked it a lot, where he gets to play a good twin and a bad twin, evil twin in that movie.
Yeah. I do remember after seeing it being I kind of like that Three Musketeers Disney movie better.
From you got
really
good actors in it, like Gabriel Byrne and John Malkovich.
I want to rewatch it, but I'm pretty certain even if I had rewatched it, it wouldn't crack my top 10.
It's not a great movie. It's just an entertaining one.
Yeah. Right.
I would probably put it in the same level as The Quick and the Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have made that level had I rewatched it, maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, that'll do it for our ranking of best and worst Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Definitely have some best. Down here we got a few worst. One no one's even heard of. So so Austin, do you want to break it down for us since Chris left?
Just for a quick point of reference, are we doing the 3 honorable mentions or on the poll as well?
We are, yeah. So
top 10? Okay,
we're gonna have 3 honorable mentions. I kind of feel like those 3 are solid honorable mentions. I mean, there's the case maybe that you throw Quick in the Dead, but I think that's good.
No, that's fine. Okay, so top 10. Let's break it down. We got at number 1, Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street with Jordan Belfort at number 1. We've got Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a little love for Rick Dalton. We've got number 3, Christopher Nolan's Inception. Number 4, another Tarantino with Django Unchained. Number 5, yet another Marty Scorsese with The Departed. At number 6, we've got James Cameron's epic Titanic. And number 7, we've got Steven Spielberg's hidden gem of Catch Me If You Can. Number 8, another collaboration with Scorsese, Gangs of New York. Number 9, we've got Inarritu's The Revenant, which he won the Oscar for. And number 10, a very young Leo, What's Eating Gilbert Grape in a breakout performance. And our honorable mentions, we've got Shutter Island, Blood Diamond, and The Aviator.
All right, yeah, and that's a wrap. So we'll be throwing these in a poll tomorrow over on the Schwinn on Friends and Family group. So for anyone that's watching, you can go over there and you can give your input and let us know what you think of our list. But we'll wrap it up there. We'll just kind of go around the horn. You can let us know where we can find you. So we'll start with Steven. Where can we find you?
I'm on Facebook and Letterboxd. You just search my name. I don't remember what my handle is.
Right. That's all right. I forget mine all the time. So, but Austin, where can we find you?
Yeah, Movie Hero Pez on Twitter. We've got Jordan and I do another show called Live from Movie Hero, all about classic SNL. We're going to be watching season 12 with Bronson Pinchot. And also another episode with Dwayne The Rock Johnson in celebration of WrestleMania from March of 2009. So that should be a lot of fun. And can we announce the podcast here or not? We talked a little bit about it on Live from Movie Hero, Jordan. Should we kind of talk about what's in the making? Yeah. Jordan, Chris, and I, we're gonna start a podcast very soon. So we're gonna where we can just kind of BS about movies or old work stories, or just just kind of have a little fun with not super heavy movie themed topics. So it's gonna be called Podcast League now, and we're gonna be starting that up pretty soon here. So 3 of us are just gonna be on there having fun, shooting the shit. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. But and then Aaron, where can we find you?
Yeah, everything I do is over on the channel TMG Entertainment, shows that I specifically host. We have a show called After Dark that's every Saturday night at 9 p.m. EST. It's our kind of weekly hangout show. We bring up all the latest movie news in the week, kind of break it down, talk about it. And then every Monday at 7 p.m. EST, I have Schmo Talks, which is my Schmodown related interview style show. I have a couple of, not announcing anything yet, but I have a couple of cool interviews and concepts for episodes coming up on the horizon. So hopefully those all work out. But those are the 2 things I'm directly responsible for. And the channel is TMG Entertainment.
I need to go subscribe to that. I haven't subscribed to it yet. For sure.
Yeah. And for me, you can find me all over the Movie Hero network. We have this show going on once a week, so Tier Ranker Fights. So, but we are going to be taking 1 week off. I'm going to be out of town next week. Is my dad's 60th birthday and also my birthday next Friday. So my siblings decided to fly me back to Idaho. That's where all my family's from. So I'm going to be hanging out there for a weekend. So we'll be on a 1 week hiatus. When we come back, we got a big show planned. We're actually doing it on Tuesday night. So middle of the week for Tier Ranker Fights, but we're going to be talking best and worst superhero movies of all time with Jader Parmera, the Barbarian, Chance Ellison, and Robert Parker. So we got a pretty fun cast for that one. And then we also have Live from Movie Hero, like Austin said. And then you can find me over on the Schmodown Friends and Family group. So if you have anything that you want to promote, if you're working on any kind of project, if you have your own YouTube channel, you can definitely promote it over to your heart's content over on in that group. And then we're definitely going to be talking Schmodown, especially after the free-for-all that just happened yesterday. So you can look forward to that. And yeah, that's where you can find me. So yeah, this has been a great time. So for Steven, for Austin, for Aaron, and I've been Jordan Movie Hero Anderson, and we will see you next time.